Sona moja imetengenezwa kwa njia spesheli ili kupambana na maumivu kwa haraka. Sona moja ina aspirin kama kiungo. Sona moja, kitulizo kamili. Maumivu yakizidi, pata ushauri wa daktari.
When you're facing stubborn stains, you're always in a fierce fight, especially when others are fleeing away. However, with Cleesoft, I can make it so easy.
Cleesoft iko na 3 times particle energy to particles to blue, husaidia kutoa mastain ngumu ngumu, na ina enzymes za kulinda nguo zako ndio ziachwe zikikaa fresh.
Cleesoft kicks out stains kimateki. Serious.
Tunafurahia hii maendeleo Soft wanatuletea. Today wametuletea maji ya kuchota juu wamejua economy sasa iko chini. Sasa tunafurahia na tunashukuru na tunawaomba tena kama kuna msaada mwingine juu watu wako kwa kijiji hawana mapato, kama kuna msaada in form of food or anything.
Tumefurahia sasa hii tuko safe, watu wa Shofco wametusaidia tuko safe na virus ya corona.
This is NTV.
Haya basi mtazamaji, hivyo ndivyo mambo itakavyokuwa kabla ya kuruhusiwa kuingia hotelini. Kipimo cha joto mwilini kitakuwa lazima. Yangu ilikuwa 36 ndiposa nikaruhusiwa. Iwapo kitazidi nyuzi 37 basi hutaruhusiwa, na hivyo basi hutapata pilau, madondo, fish, matumbo, na badala yake maafisa wa afya kutoka Wizara ya Afya watawasilishwa ama watapewa ujumbe kukuhusu, na hivyo basi mara moja utaweza kuwasilishwa katika Wizara ya Afya. Hilo ni moja masharti yaliyotolewa leo na Wizara ya Afya kwa wenye biashara kama hii. Haya basi mtazamaji, taarifa hiyo tumeipa kipaumbele pamoja na
Pubs remain closed until further notice.
Good stuff. Serikali yatoa mwongozo wa kufunguliwa kwa mikahawa na hoteli.
I also want to assure Kenyans that COVID-19 disease is treatable.
Visa vya maambukizi ya virusi vya corona vinaongezeka sambamba na wanaopona.
Wakimaliza kujifungua, kitu ya kwanza hao watoto, huyo mtoto apate chanjo.
Kutana na chifu wanayehakikisha wajawazito wanajifungua hospitali huko Kakamega. Ukuaji wa uchumi wa Kenya unatarajiwa kupungua zaidi, kisa ni COVID-19.
Mbashara kutoka jumba la Nation. Hii ni NTV jioni na Jen Ngoiri.
Na mtazamaji, basi karibu kwa taarifa kamili za NTV jioni, na kusihi tuandamane sasa hadi tamati. Katika lugha ya ishara niko naye David Agondoa. Serikali imefutilia mbali kufunguliwa kwa baa na maeneo ya vileo kwa sasa. Agizo lililoko ni la mikahawa na hoteli kufunguliwa, lakini kwa masharti. Katibu msimamizi wa Wizara ya Afya Rashid Aman amesema maeneo hayo ya kula yatafunguliwa baada ya kupata cheti cha idhini kutoka kwa serikali. Silas Apollo ana maelezo zaidi.
Huku visa vya maambukizi ya korona vikiongezeka, serikali inasisitiza kuwa kuruhusiwa kwa hoteli na mikahawa kufunguliwa kutafanyika chini ya masharti makali. Wenye maeneo hayo watatakiwa kupata leseni kutoka kwa Wizara ya Afya kabla ya kufungua. Na baada ya kufungua, wafanyikazi watatakiwa wapimwe mara kwa mara virusi vya korona, huku usafi wa hali ya juu ukidumishwa katika eneo la biashara. Hata hivyo, baa zitaendelea kufungwa.
On the requirement of mass testing of eateries and restaurant workers, this is a necessary intervention to break the cycle, to limit the possibility of transmission within such establishments.
Baadhi ya masharti ni wateja kuwa umbali wa mita 1.5 na kuwa na sehemu ya kunawa mikono, na wateja kujihudumia kumesitishwa.
We only commence operations of those premises upon receipt of a permit from the county director, the public health to operate food business during the period of COVID-19 pandemic.
Mchakato wa kuchapisha mwongozo unaendelea.
The guidelines are not very punitive. They are only reinforcing the social distancing measures and hygiene measures that have always been advocated by the ministry. And there are not new requirements.
Silas Apollo, NTV.
Baada ya taarifa yake Silas Apollo, tunafika katika sehemu ya swali la leo. Tunakuuliza, je, masharti ya kufungua maeneo ya kula yanatekelezeka? Je, masharti ya kufungua maeneo ya kula yanatekelezeka? Sema nasi kupitia mitandao yetu ya kijamii Facebook, Twitter @JenWeryOfficial @NTV jioni. Na mtazamaji, visa vya maambukizi vinaonekana kuongezeka Nairobi na Mombasa pekee. Katika saa 24 zilizopita, watu 589 walipimwa na 11 kati yao wamepatikana wana virusi vya korona. Sasa idadi ya visa vya maambukizi imefika 374 hapa nchini.
Today's cases, there are 2 children aged 3 years and the oldest is 75 years. Out of the 11 cases, 7 are from Nairobi and 4 from Mombasa. Of the 7 Nairobi cases, 4 cases are from Kawangware and 1 from Isli, Manji Estate and Kaloleni. All the 4 Mombasa cases are from Kibokoni, that is the old town. We therefore want to request residents of these areas to take extra measures to avoid contracting the virus. I'm glad to note that today we have discharged a total of 10 patients. This brings to 124 the total number of recoveries, which is very encouraging indeed. I also want to assure Kenyans that COVID-19 disease is treatable. With proper management and care, patients have healed and reintegrated back to society.
Na mtazamaji, basi agizo la serikali la kufunguliwa kwa maeneo ya kula mradi tu yatafikia masharti limepokewa kwa hisia mseto, ila baadhi ya mikahawa jijini Nairobi tayari imeanza biashara zao huku wakijitahidi kutekeleza maagizo serikali ya umbali unaopendekezwa kutoka meza moja hadi nyingine. Wengine hata hivyo wameamua kuuza chakula kwa wanaokwenda kulia sehemu nyingine. Ruth Sarumwei alitembelea baadhi ya hoteli hapa jijini Nairobi na kutuandalia taarifa ifuatayo.
Wenye biashara ya chakula katika hoteli na mikahawa wamekuwa miongoni mwa waliopata pigo tangu virusi vya korona kutangazwa kuwa janga humu nchini. Imekuwa ni hasara mtindo mmoja kwa wamiliki, hasa baada ya agizo la serikali kufungwa kwa maeneo ya mikusanyiko. Agizo la serikali kuruhusu hoteli kufunguliwa, hata hivyo, limewashusha pumzi wafanyabiashara licha ya masharti yaliyotolewa. Baadhi ya hoteli Nairobi tayari zimeanza shughuli zao, ila sasa changamoto ni wateja, kama anavyoelezea meneja wa hoteli ya Nascos ambayo kwa sasa inatoa huduma za chakula kwa watakaonunua na kubeba badala ya kulia hotelini.
Even though we were given that leeway that we may open as restaurants and hotels, the challenge or the question is, where are those customers going to come from? Because I trust out there many citizens would rather avoid going to eateries, because anybody going to an eatery expects to meet other clans too. It's a challenge knowing or rather establishing where those other clans have come from.
Baadhi ya hoteli hata hivyo zimeanza shughuli zao kama kawaida kwa uzingatiaji masharti yaliyotolewa. Big Square 680 ni mojawapo ya hoteli hizo zilizopo jijini Nairobi ambapo wateja wanakula mumo humo. Wahudumu wamepunguzwa ili kupunguza msongamano hotelini.
We've significantly reduced our staffing. Okay, they're on leave, but they're paid. Our team members are paid. Those that are on leave and those that are working. So we've reduced the number. We used to do around 54, now we are doing 18.
Hapa wateja wanapimwa kiwango cha joto la mwili kabla ya kutakasa mikono yao. Kisha mteja anaelekezwa atakapokaa akisubiri mhudumu kuchukua agizo lake, na mfumo wa malipo unaosisitizwa ni kutumia M-Pesa.
Generally it is a very good gesture. Let them improve more on this, and they should take it up to ile ya saa moja, sio saa 10.
Kama mmoja wa wateja, nilisubiri chakula changu kabla ya kutekeleza masharti na kisha kudadisi nafasi iliyoachwa kutoka meza moja hadi nyingine. Kwa mujibu wa serikali, nafasi kati ya meza mbili inapaswa kuwa mita 1.5.
Mwandishi Virginia Woolf alisema binadamu hawezi kufikiri vizuri, kulala vizuri na hata kupenda vizuri iwapo hajakula vizuri. Ruth Sarmoi, NTV.
Na shukrani sana Ruth, anasema kwamba huwezi kupenda vizuri kama hujala vizuri. Haya basi, serikali imesema italipa bili ya kupima na matibabu ya wagonjwa virusi vya corona katika vituo vya matibabu. Hii inafuatia baadhi ya wagonjwa katika hospitali ya rufaa ya Chuo Kikuu cha Kenyatta kutishia kujiua kutokana na bili walizotakiwa kulipa. Serikali imesema itagharamia tu vipimo na dawa kwa wale walio katika vituo vya serikali, lakini serikali imesema imepokea kilio cha wale walio kwenye vituo na itangazia jinsi ya kuwasaidia wale ambao wanahitaji msaada. Wagonjwa 3 jana walizua hofu katika hospitali ya rufaa ya Chuo Kikuu cha Kenyatta walipotishia kuruka kutoka jengo la ghorofa kwa madai ya kushindwa kulipa bili.
In most cases it is the quarantee who will bear the cost of quarantine. However, in cases of need and when it can be established need, the government is taking that on a case-by-case basis.
Na janga la COVID-19 limeilazimu serikali kuweka juhudi zake katika kulikabili, na hivyo hospitali nyingi zinaripoti kupungua kwa wagonjwa wanaotafuta matibabu kutokana na hofu ya kuambukizwa au kukamatwa usiku kufuatia amri ya kutotoka nje. Katika kaunti ya Kakamega, Wizara ya Afya ya kaunti hiyo inashirikiana na machifu na polisi ili kusaidia wajawazito usiku kusafirishwa kwa pikipiki wakienda kujifungua. Leila Muhammad anaarifu zaidi.
Tangu alipotangaza Rais Uhuru Kenyatta kuwepo kwa amri ya kutotoka nje kati saa 1 usiku na saa 11 asubuhi, Wizara ya Afya ya Kakamega inaripoti kupungua kwa idadi ya wajawazito wanaoenda hospitali kujifungua. Wengi wao waliamua kujifungua nyumbani kupitia wakunga, na ndio wazo lililomjia Doreen Onyango uchungu wa mwana ulipomjia usiku mmoja wiki iliyopita. Saa 1 kasorobo alimkimbilia mkunga kijijini kwao Masaba.
Kushika kwa tumbo, akasema mtoto amefika. Kweli tukatoka mpaka kwa barabara. Vile tulifika, nikapata huyu mwami ndiye anakuja. Walikuwa wamempigia simu. Sasa kukutana hapo, akasema kwanza hiyo masaa tuwezi enda bila barua. Akaenda kwa ofisi, akaleta barua na boda. Hata ndio nikaenda.
Kusalia nyumbani ni dangerous. Dangerous kabisa, both kwa mtoto na mama. because mama hajui vile mtoto labda amekuja kujia na miguu, huyo mtoto obvious atakufa. Na hata mimi ninangependa kuambia wajaribu kusimamisha wakina mama ama wajawazito kuzalia kwa midwives.
Kwa wale ambao bado ni wajawazito, wahudumu wa afya huwahimiza kujisajili katika mpango unaoendeshwa na chifu wa Indangalasia ili kupata huduma hiyo. Chifu Okelo huwapata kina mama hao kupitia manaibu wake. Ili kufanikisha mpango huu, waendeshaji pikipiki 50 waliokaguliwa na chifu hutumiwa.
If these ladies have a problem, they are free, they call the chief immediately, and the chief is able to get in touch with the boda because we have also mapped them to certain boda, and the boda will respond immediately.
Matungu tuko na ambulance moja, na watu wenye wako na mimba ni wengi. Tuko na location 7 in Matungu sub county. So wewe wakati yenye unaangalia tu ambulance labda imeenda Halava na mtu wangu ameanza kuumwa. So tuko na list ya bodaboda na tuko nayo pa village.
Jumatatu hii tulikutana na Nancy Atieno akijiandaa kwenda katika zahanati ya Indangalasia kwa huduma za kliniki ya wajawazito. Ili kuzuia kina mama kupuuza safari hizi, mhudumu wa afya kujitolea huwatembelea nyumbani kuwapa mafunzo.
Mimi kama mwanaafya, jukumu langu kwa mama mjamzito ni kuangalia kadi yake, nione huwa anaenda kliniki kuona anapata chanjo ambazo zinastahili katika hali yake ya kuwa mjamzito. Mpaka nihakikisha ameanza kwa muda ambao unastahili, tena amalize katika muda ambao unastahili.
Akiwa hospitalini, wahudumu wa afya wanahakikisha kuwa sheria ya kuzuia maambukizi ya COVID-19 zinafuatwa. Siku hii atapokea huduma hii chini ya mti penye hewa safi. Wakati wake wa kujifungua utakapofika, atategemea huduma za mhudumu wa bodaboda kama Nehemia, ambaye ni mmoja wale wanaosimamiwa na chifu.
I've written a letter to the CS in charge of security, internal security, Dr. Fred Matiang'i, to look into this issue, that how do we deliver, how do we deal with the expectant mothers at this period of the curfew.
Tulihakikishiwa kuwa tutakuwa kwa usalama, kwa ajili alituambia tutapatiwa barua ya kututembesha usiku. Tukifika hospitali pia wale wanatupatia barua ambao tunakuhakikisha kuwa tulikuwa na mama mjamzito.
Kina mama wanapofika na kujifungua salama hospitalini hupata huduma nyingine muhimu ya kuboresha hali ya maisha yao na afya ya watoto wao.
Tunawaambia ya kwamba wakimaliza kujifungua, kitu ya kwanza hao watoto, huyo mtoto apate chanjo.
Na sisi kama wana afya tumejukumika kutafuta pills kutoka kwa dispensary zetu ama facilities zetu pamoja na condoms ili tuwapatie wamama na wababa katika muda huu wa curfew.
Baraza la magavana sasa linasema kwamba kuna haja ya vituo maalum vya afya kutengwa ili kukabiliana na COVID-19, ili kuhakikisha kwamba vituo vingine vinatoa huduma nyingine za matibabu kwa Wakenya ambao wanahitaji huduma hizo.
So that the gains that we have made in immunization and in reducing maternal mortality because of the attendance to antenatal clinics, the malnutrition that we have countered because of regular weighing, and other activities like HIV and TB should not be lost.
Leila Mohamed, NTV.
Na wakati huo serikali imedai Wakenya wanaoishi nchini China walikataa kuondoka huko licha ya kuishinikiza serikali kuwarejesha nchini kwa hofu ya kudhulumiwa na kuambukizwa virusi vya korona. Katibu wa Wizara ya Mashauri ya Kigeni Macharia Kamau amesema licha ya serikali kushinikizwa kuwarejesha waliokwama, ni wachache tu waliojisajili katika ubalozi wa Kenya jijini Beijing. Kwa mengi kuhusu taarifa hii na nyingine, usikose gazeti lako la Taifa Leo hapo kesho. Tukirejea katika taarifa zetu, tulikuwa tumekuuliza, je, masharti ya kufungua maeneo ya kula yanatekelezeka? Basi katika Twitter, Mark Musumba anasema heri takeaway kuliko kulia hotelini, kwani maeneo haya yanatumika na watu wengi, haya basi kuhatarisha maisha hata zaidi sio jambo la busara. Sahezu anasema kwa sasa itawezekana kulingana na sheria kali zilizopo ili kuepuka janga hilo. Licha ya hayo, wa Kenya ni wale wale, baada ya dhiki ni faraja, watajikuta wamesahau baadaye. Anatazama kutoka Ruaka. Na mwisho kabisa, Rofi anasema no, have you ever been to a hotel or a restaurant kitchen? Liza anasema hivyo. Haya, kukumbusha ni maoni yako mtazamaji, endelea kusema nasi. Naelezwa muda wa kupata matangazo ya kibiashara kutoka upande ule mwingine wa studio umewadia, lakini kusiwewe salia papo hapo.
If we continue to behave normally, this disease will treat us abnormally.
Ramadan springs hope. It is a season of holy devotion and spiritual purification. Today, we join the Muslim Ummah in marking the holy month of Ramadan. Remember, the core principle of Islam is helping our fellow human beings during this period, and always bank different by avoiding interest in all your transactions. Bank different with Gulf African Bank. If not now, when? Call us on 0711 075 000 or SMS join to 21981. Remember to adhere to the government's health and safety regulations to combat COVID-19. May God protect us. Ramadan Mubarak.
Nyaji wa Kenya, hii ni public service announcement kuhusu coronavirus.
The Ministry of Health advises all returnees from abroad to self-quarantine for at least 14 days, whether they feel well or unwell.
Wash your hands regularly following the 8 steps of hand washing. Wet hands with warm water. Apply a small amount of soap. Rub palms together. Rub fingers and thumbs and the bits in between. Rub nails on palms. Rub the back of each hand. Rinse with clean running water and dry thoroughly with a clean dry towel.
Furthermore, it is advisable to cover your mouth and nose adequately when sneezing or coughing and immediately dispose of the tissue in a dustbin. Please do not use handkerchiefs if you can avoid it. If disposable tissue is unavailable, cough into your elbow. Try and avoid close contact with anyone showing signs of a respiratory illness, such as coughing or sneezing.
Before you share any coronavirus information on social media, please verify it with Ministry of Health to avoid panic and alarm among your fellow Kenyans.
The risk of illness causing germs is increasing. It is believed that the coronavirus can remain on surfaces in your home for up to 9 days. Touching infected surfaces is one of the ways in which germs spread. Regularly disinfect your floors, countertops, and kitchen surfaces with bleach, and use an effective toilet cleaner inside and outside your toilet bowl. This message is brought to you by Medifacts, JIG, and Harpic.
Heaviness and a burning inside, it could be heartburn.
Indigestion and heartburn? Eno gets to work in 6 seconds and works on the 6 symptoms of heartburn so you can keep living life non-stop. Eno, fight heartburn and indigestion fast.
Dettol's main objective is to help children protect themselves from diseases. Do you know how we get illnesses like diarrhea, cough, and cold?
No!
They are spread through germs on your hands. Your hands collect germs that causes diseases. You pick up germs from any surface, like when you don't wash your hands after going to the toilet, while playing. And then you can get sick because of germs. That's why you need to fight germs to stay healthy by washing your hands regularly with Dettol soap that gives the best germ protection ever against many illness-causing germs.
Wash, wash, wash your hands. What you have to do is bath, bath, bath yourself. Dettol soap every day. Wash, wash, wash your hands.
Kapu la biashara limeletwa kwako na KCB Internet Banking.
Asilimia 90 ya nafasi za ajira zilizopatikana mwaka jana zilikuwa katika sekta ya uchumi usio rasmi, ishara tosha changamoto wanazokumbana nazo wa Kenya katika kutafuta ajira. Hili kwa mujibu wa taarifa rasmi ya serikali kuhusu uchumi wa Kenya mwaka jana, ambayo inaonyesha kwamba uchumi ulikuwa kwa asilimia 5.4.
Akizungumza katika hafla ya kuzindua taarifa rasmi ya serikali kuhusu uchumi wa Kenya mwaka jana, Waziri wa Fedha Ukur Yatani amesema kwamba sekta za kilimo, viwanda na ujenzi ndizo ziliathirika zaidi mwaka jana na kuchangia pakubwa kupungua kwa kasi ya ukuaji wa uchumi.
The agriculture, forestry and fishing sector grew by 3.6% in 2019 compared to 6.0% in 2018. In the manufacturing sector, I hasten to add that the sector slowed down to 3.2% in 2019 compared to a growth of 4.3% in 2018. The building construction sector, the gross value added was estimated to have risen by 6.4% in 2019 compared to 6.9% in 2018.
Aidha, kupungua kwa kasi ya kukua kwa uchumi mwaka jana kulionekana katika uhaba wa nafasi za ajira katika sekta rasmi ya uchumi.
Total new jobs generated in the economy were 843,000 in 2019. Employment in the modern sector recorded a growth of 2.4% in 2019 compared to 2.8% in 2018. In the year under review, a total of 61.8 thousand jobs were created in the modern sector.
Wizara ya Fedha sasa inatabiri kuwa ukuaji wa uchumi utapungua zaidi hadi kati ya asilimia 1.8 na asilimia 2.5, kisa na maana janga la corona.
Most of the economic activities have so far been slowed down by restrictions resulting from containment and cessation of sections of the population, the nationwide curfew and stoppage of international passenger travel.
Julians Amboko, NTV.
Kapu la biashara limeletwa kwako na KCB Internet Banking.
We can always talk about your account online whenever you like.
Register at your nearest branch for KCB Internet Banking today.
Nyaja wa Kenya, hii ni public service announcement kuhusu coronavirus.
The Ministry of Health advises all returnees from abroad to self-quarantine for at least 14 days, whether they feel well or unwell.
Wash your hands regularly following the 8 steps of hand washing. Wet hands with warm water, apply a small amount of soap, rub palms together, rub fingers and thumbs and the bits in between, rub nails on palms, rub the back of each hand, rinse with clean running water, and dry thoroughly with a clean dry towel.
Furthermore, it is advisable to cover your mouth and nose adequately when sneezing or coughing and immediately dispose of the tissue in a dustbin. Please do not use handkerchiefs if you can avoid it. If disposable tissue is unavailable, cough into your elbow. Try and avoid close contact with anyone showing signs of respiratory illness, such as coughing or sneezing.
Before you share any coronavirus information on social media, please verify it with Ministry of Health to avoid panic and alarm among your fellow Kenyans.
Disinfect and protect your home with Jik. Jik kills 99.9% of illness-causing germs. Disinfect floors, kitchen and bathroom surfaces, and wash white clothes, towels and dishcloths with Jik bleach. Just Jik it.
Je, maumivu ya kichwa na kukosesha amani? Kaluma Strong hutuliza maumivu ya kichwa, maumivu ya mwili na hata huondoa joto jingi mwilini. Kaluma Strong ina aspirin kama kiungo.
Maumivu yakizidi, muone daktari.
Wajua wanasema food has memory, and those who nourish you are never forgotten. Unakumbuka the auntie who made sure you shibat? We jamaa wa nyama, ule anakuwekea nyama poa ya choma. The dere, happy to share your takeaway. Na huyo mama wa chai, ule ana warm your lunch before you ata uliza. Your mama mboga, ule anakuongezea ata nyanya. Ule waiter kusava haraka. Na ule mandazi lady, ule anakuwekea ndao moja ya baadaye. Na your boda rider, ule jamaa kufikisha haraka. Now this is the time to let them know they are not forgotten. This is the time to make sure every table in Kenya has food on it. The points on your phone can be food in their home. When you sit with a plate of food today, pledge to stand for someone who has put food before you. Dial *126# to transfer your bonga points now so they can buy food and necessities at any outlet with a Lipa na M-Pesa till.
Safaricom is for you.
Katika michezo ni kwamba shirikisho la riadha nchini AK limemkashifu mwanahabari wa Norway kwa kuchapisha picha zilizosambaa mitandaoni ambazo zinasemekana zilipigwa mjini Iten. Picha hizo zinaonyesha wanariadha wa Kenya wanajihusisha na utumizi wa dawa zilizopigwa marufuku. Katika taarifa yake, AK imesema picha inayosambazwa na mwanahabari huyo haina ukweli. Picha ilichapishwa Aprili tarehe 23 kwenye jarida la riadha duniani. Maneno yaliandikwa ni leo Iten, Kenya, karibu na eneo la kukimbilia. Tumeona hii mara nyingi, ndio hali ilivyo. Kulingana na AK, picha inayozungushwa inalenga kuharibia sifa Kenya, lakini shirikisho limemtaka mwanahabari huyo awataje wanariadha waliohusika. Wakati huo shirikisho la AK limeendelea kuwaonya wanariadha nchini dhidi ya kutumia dawa marufuku. Ni hayo tu kutoka viwanjani. Kabla sijaondoka niseme mawili matatu kuhusu swali letu. Tumekuuliza, je, masharti ya kufungua maeneo ya kula yanatekelezeka? Dylan Nyariki nasema naam, yanatekelezeka, lakini Wakenya kwa jumla wanafahamika kwa kutofuata maagizo yanayowekwa, na tumaye wakati huu watafuata ifaavyo. Na mwisho kabisa G4S Pascal anasema itakuwa vyema iwapo sisi sote tutakubaliana kuitikia wito. Na mtazamaji, basi ni hayo tu katika taarifa zetu za NTV jioni. Naitwa Jane Ngweri. Kuanzia kesho nitapumzika, nitawapisha Salim Swale pamoja na Carlton Jama. Kwa niaba ya David Agondoa, kwa heri, keep safe.
Allahu Akbar,
During this period and always, bank different by avoiding interest in all your transactions. If not now, when? Ensure that all your transactions are free from elements of uncertainty and gambling by only investing your money differently. Bank on strong partnerships where generated profits and risks are shared by both parties. Bank different with Gulf African Bank. Call us on 0711 075 000 or SMS join to 21981. May God protect us. Ramadan Mubarak.
This is NTV.
Melissa? Mom, it's Dad's birthday today. I'm giving him a party just like he gives me.
Nothing makes a mother more proud than seeing her child growing up. But I know that as she learns to care for others, she'll face even more germs and the risk of illnesses.
That's why you need strong Dettol protection. Just 1 cup of Dettol protects your home and family from up to 100 illness-causing germs.
Growing up needs Dettol protection.
Nyaje wa Kenya, hii ni public service announcement kuhusu coronavirus.
The Ministry of Health advises all returnees from abroad to self-quarantine for at least 14 days, whether they feel well or unwell.
Wash your hands regularly following the 8 steps of hand washing. Wet hands with warm water. Apply a small amount of soap. Rub palms together. Rub fingers and thumbs and the bits in between. Rub nails on palms. Rub the back of each hand. Rinse with clean running water and dry thoroughly with a clean dry towel.
Furthermore, it is advisable to cover your mouth and nose adequately when sneezing or coughing and immediately dispose of the tissue in a dustbin. Please do not use handkerchiefs if you can avoid it. If disposable tissue is unavailable, cough into your elbow. Try and avoid close contact with anyone showing signs of respiratory illness, such as coughing or sneezing.
Before you share any coronavirus information on social media, please verify it with Ministry of Health to avoid panic and alarm among your fellow Kenyans.
The risk of illness-causing germs is increasing. It is believed that the coronavirus can remain on surfaces in your home for up to 9 days. Touching infected surfaces is one of the ways in which germs spread. Regularly disinfect your floors, countertops, and kitchen surfaces with bleach, and use an effective toilet cleaner inside and outside your toilet bowl. This message is brought to you by Medifacts, JIC, and HAPIC.
Government offices, businesses are encouraged to allow employees to work from home.
Working from home is actually a feature companies need to look into.
When we load important services onto technology platforms, if we are not very careful, you will end up excavating the inequalities.
There is a great opportunity for Kenya to localize a lot of the goods.
Necessity is the mother of invention. You've come up with this invention at the right time.
Tumesimamishwa kazi. The business definitely it's a huge shift.
It will call for sacrifice, including pay cuts.
We do not want Kenyans to lose jobs unnecessarily. We have to find some money to be able to manage payrolls.
The state is the guarantor of business in any country.
Kenya's economy has been resilient, growing at an average of 5.7% over the last 5 years. Before the outbreak of COVID-19, its macroeconomic fundamentals were also quite solid. Low inflation, sufficient foreign exchange reserves, and a commitment to contain growth of debt. Like in every other part of the world, COVID-19 presents an unusual litmus test for this resilience.
We have identified needy households in Nairobi that will be the inaugural recipients of the weekly COVID-19 support stipend.
From a raft of cash transfers to vulnerable households, efforts of easing consumers' access to credit, state and non-state actors are already pulling levers to steady the economy to cushion Kenyans and businesses from the adverse effects of COVID-19. World Bank's Kenya Economic Update Edition 21 explores the impact of COVID-19 on Kenya's economic growth and outlines policy options, including caring for those infected and containing the spread of the virus, and measures to protect the most vulnerable households to cope with the crisis. World Bank Kenya Economic Update, exclusively on NTV.
Mind-blowing music and entertainment. Just move to NTV.
You spoke, we listened, and now every weekday at 6:30 a.m. you can join Evelyn and Peter to get your daily fitness fix. Some body exercises and some dancing, while at it you could even lose some weight. Get moving, we guarantee you will love it.
My name is Michael Olunga. I'd like to take this opportunity to wish all my fellow Kenyans peace and safety during these difficult times as we fight the coronavirus pandemic. Please follow the instructions given by our President, His Excellency Uhuru Kenyatta, and the Ministry of Health as we fight the coronavirus pandemic. For example, wash your hands thoroughly with running water and soap, or use sanitizers where necessary. 2. Keep your environment clean. 3. Stay at home and avoid unnecessary movements. 4. Take the necessary precautions to keep yourself and your family safe. 5. To my fellow athletes, please train in isolation and take unnecessary precautions. We shall overcome this pandemic. May God bless you and God bless Kenya.
This is NTV.
A very good evening to you. Now, concern is growing over the continuing rise of the COVID-19 infections in some parts of the world and the ability to sustain declining rates in others. Well, governments, employers, workers and organizations are facing an enormous challenge as they try to combat the pandemic and protect safety and health at work. And in recognizing the challenge you're facing, the world is today marking the World Day for Safety and Health at Work, which is focusing on addressing the outbreak of infectious diseases at work. Well, in particular on the COVID-19 pandemic. And to have a more robust conversation on this, we are joined live by Mr. Simon Chelugui, who's the Labour and Social Protection Cabinet Secretary, Mr. Ernest Nadome, who is the Assistant Secretary General of KOTU, Dr. Musa Nyandusi, the Director at the Directorate Occupational Safety and Health Services, as well as Dr. Andrew Muruka, who is the Deputy Director Head at the National Institute for Occupational Safety and Health. Thank you so much, gentlemen, for joining us this evening to have this conversation. Thank you so much for joining us, the viewer, as well, for this conversation. You can reach us on our Twitter handle at NTV Kenya, at Zainab Ismail. We will be sampling your views as we continue with this conversation. Our sign language interpreter this evening is David Agondoa. And I think I'll begin directly with Mr. Ernest, who is the KOTU Assistant Secretary General. Now, Ernest, why is this day particularly important for those within a working environment in light of the crisis we are facing not only in Kenya but in the globe as well?
Thank you very much, Zainab. Let me just repeat again. Today is an occasion. We are celebrating the International Workers' Memorial Day, or rather Workers' Mourning Day. We do this is normally carried out every year. We do this in remembrance of the workers who have been killed, disabled, injured, or made unwell by work. So this is a day that workers all over the world dedicate to those workers who have suffered during their time at work. And it is that very reason, Zainab, that COTU, which is affiliated to International Trade Union Confederation of Africa, is joining forces with ITUC Global, that is International Trade Union Congress Global, with a theme that they have come up with is called Stop the Pandemic at Work. So this Stop the Pandemic at Work is geared to us now, talking to workers. We're expecting the workers now to really abide by the guidelines that have been given, issued by the government. So, but at the same time, we are also recognizing and applauding and also paying homage to these frontline workers who have really done a lot in fighting this pandemic. They have risked their life, they have sacrificed. So ours is really also to appreciate and recognize them. But at the same point, also, we also want to commend. We also want to commend the essential workers. These are workers, essential services and goods workers, who are also continue to contribute to risk their lives as we combat this particular pandemic. It is a day also that we pay tribute to the workers who have lost their lives during this particular year, and more so these are the heroines, they are real heroines and heroes. And lastly, it is also a time for us to reflect or take stock. Hello, sorry, the lights have just gone off. Anyway, it is a time I was saying.
All right, we do apologize for that, Ernest Nadome, there, COTU Secretary General, Assistant Secretary General. Of course, we will be reaching him in just a moment. But we now head to the Cabinet Secretary for Labour and Social Protection, Mr. Simon Chelugui. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. Now, CS, the pre-COVID-19, we were already dealing with a serious crisis, which was the rate of unemployment in the country. Now we are facing a pandemic that has disrupted not only the economy but also the socio-economic platform in the country. Really, then how do we move forward in terms of helping the country, specifically those working, be able to cope with this new dynamic that has now presented itself with the reality of the pandemic?
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, Sign Up. First, I want to say today, as a country, we are pleased to join other nations in marking the World Safety and Health Day. This is a day that was set out by ILO, and the theme for this year is Stop the Pandemic, Safety and Health at Work Can Save Lives. My ministry is partnering with the Ministry of Health, ILO, and WHO in a joint campaign to stop the pandemic in workplaces and ensure that safe and secure work environment for workers. Our workers in public and private sector actually hold the future of our country, and without their safety and health systems in place, none of our sectors can thrive. Workers in the health sector are also our frontline soldiers. And a number of programs have been put in place by government of Kenya. Recently, our our president pronounced himself on a number of measures, more so on our frontline workers. This includes additional stipend and motivational allowance that will inspire our frontline workers in protecting and supporting our workers and our people. Now, this pandemic has affected approximately 2.7 billion people in the world, workers in the world. This is approximately 81% of the workers in the world. That means the threat to workers or to our economy is very high. Now, going forward, as you have asked,
okay,
through my Department of Occupational Safety and Health, DOSH, we have come up with a number of measures to execute or implement what the Ministry of Health has issued as guidelines. We are in charge of enforcement. We visit factories, workplaces to ensure that guidelines given by Ministry of Health, like sanitizing, clean hygiene levels,
all right,
social distancing among workers. So, one of the challenges that we have faced is a number of factories have closed and workers have been sent home.
Right.
And we're facing both labor issues and health issues.
Right.
But we say in workplaces, health comes first.
Mm-hmm.
So in terms of labor, we have agreed that employers allow workers to proceed on leave where production is not going on.
All right.
The leave will go for about 30 days. Then thereafter, we are still asking them to extend by about 15 days.
Okay. And
we are insisting that
Buenos Aires, we'll come back to that, and of course we'll be touching on some of the issues that are now coming up in light of this new crisis. Let me just, you've talked about, of course, the occupational safety and health services, which is under the Ministry of Labour and Social Protection. I'd just like to now cross over live to Dr. Andrew Muruka, who is indeed the Deputy Director Head at the National Institute for Occupational Safety and Health, who's also joining us here right now. Thank you so much for joining us. Dr. Andrew, when it comes to the safety of employers within the workplace, what really is the employer obligation with regards to ensuring that an employee is working under very safe circumstances and an environment in light of the fact that we're now facing a very big health crisis?
Thank you very much, Zainab.
That's good.
One of the most important employer responsibilities is to create a safe and healthy work environment for their employees. The second thing is that every employer is required by law under the Occupational Safety and Health Act to conduct risk assessment for all their activities. And based on that risk assessment, they are required to develop control and preventive measures. Thirdly, employers are also required to provide personal protective equipment to ensure that they are able to protect their employees from the identified health hazards and safety hazards within the work environment. And one of the other most important one is to ensure that they provide information, training, supervision to all employees so that they are able to work safely. So with respect to this pandemic, for example, employers are required to provide information that will help employees reduce the risk of exposure to themselves and to exposing others within the work environment.
All right, thank you, Dr. Andrew. Let's now cross over live to Dr. Musa Nyandusi. I'll be getting to you, Dr. Andrew, to get more details of that as well as we continue to keep up this conversation. There are key occupational and safety and health regulations that are already in the law, not only in the country but internationally as well. So maybe just to point out the key legislations when it comes to the OSH and how that fits within creating a safe environment for the workers as well.
Hi, Zainab.
Yes, good evening. We can hear you, Dr. Musa.
Yes, thank you. First, I would like to talk about the Directorate of Occupational Safety and Health Services, which is the agency, the government agency, which is charged with the responsibility for ensuring the safety and health of workers at the workplace, as well as the administration of work injury benefits. And to this end, this institution is enabled by two legislations, the Occupational Safety and Health Act of 2007, as well as the Work Injury Benefits Act, also of 2007. Now, these acts are emboldened also by the Occupational Safety and Health Policy, which was passed in 2012, as well as a raft of regulatory subsidiary legislations to the Occupational Safety and Health Act, which also enable the implementation of the primary legislations. Today being the World Day for Safety and Health, when we actually commemorate persons who died in the course of their duties, as well as those who got maimed and suffered disabilities as a result of occupational disease, as well as injury, it is very pertinent that we look at the challenge of COVID-19 in the workplace, as well as the role of safety and health in the workplaces. We do know that there are a raft of measures which were proposed by the ministry, and among these measures, of course, were the measures that include staying at home and keeping social distances. But we also know that there are a lot of workplaces which actually form frontline work who, by the nature of their jobs, they are not going to be able to stay at home. We need to be alive to the responsibility both of the employer and the worker, in the sense that the employer has the responsibility to provide a safe and healthy work environment, while the employee has the responsibility to adhere to the safety and health processes and policies, as well as legislations that ensure that he remains safe in the workplace. And this pandemic of COVID-19, what it has done is that it has created a revelation about the requirement for us to continue being proactive in terms of finding solutions to the safety and health challenges in the workplace. It is a pandemic.
Right.
It's a challenge. It requires thinking outside the box. It requires us to find practical and workable solutions that serve to ensure that our workers are safe and they continue being healthy wherever they are, with particular focus on our frontline workers.
All right, Dr. Musa, thank you. Now, I'll just go to Ernest right now. And just to paraphrase what the International Labour Organization Director General Guy Ryder described as the human dimension of the pandemic as devastating, and its combined health, social and economic effects as the worst crisis since the Second World War. So this is definitely a very big thing, and it comes to those also within the trade unions. So as KOTU, Mr. Ernest, what regulations, what measures are you putting in place to ensure that the people within these trade unions that you represent are, or rather you are looking after, are well catered for during this time? All right, we do apologize for that technical hitch. They, of course, will be trying to get a better audio and lighting there for Mr. Ernest.
I can speak.
We can actually have him. Yes, yes. Thank you so much, Ernest.
Yeah.
You can continue.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, thank you, Zainab. I was saying that first and foremost, allow me to really commend the current CS Labour, Simon Chelugui, because at the point in time during the ministry, that is when now we were faced with this COVID-19. Is coming, I would say, was timely, because in terms of really involving the social partners, I think it's gone a long way in really burning midnight oil, embracing social dialogue. We've had a series of meetings to really discuss, to agree on the way forward. And why are we doing this? We are doing this because I think I must lay bare the facts. As we speak, our current labor laws do not provide what we should do in terms of a pandemic like this. I know there are contestations, there are arguments whether the current OSH Act allows or not. But as we speak, our laws do not recognize when an employee works at home. Our laws have never envisaged that there will be a point in time when an employee will work at home. So what we are doing with the CS and the FKE is we are now coming up with guidelines that mirror the international labor standards regulations that in the context of COVID-19. So this is where we are, and we are happy that as late as yesterday, the social partners and the government worked up to late at night to bring up these guidelines, because here we are talking of, in the event that an employee passes on because of COVID, in the event that an employee falls sick, what is supposed to be done? I know that various employers, a number of employers have gone out of their way to even provide accommodation to some of the employees who work in essential services. But as we speak now, and that is why you can see there's a bill in Parliament, in the National Assembly, there's a bill also at the Senate, and all that is geared towards us coming up with laws really to protect employees who are losing their job. As we speak, we have a number of employees, especially like contract cashier employees. We have quite a substantial number who have been sent home. We have employees who are unpaid leave. I know anytime our CS labor gets an opportunity to speak to the public or the media, he has impressed upon the employers really not to send employees on unpaid leave. Let them be patient. He's even go as far as saying the first month, yes, you need to bear 15 days. Let them still be on paid leave. Then after that, if this pandemic continues, then there'll be need to even consider the issue of unpaid leave. So as we speak, easing is devastating, and it is coming out very clearly, Zainab, that God willing, during post-corona,
all right,
we will have to sit down, because there are already, what are we going to do post-corona? So that even as it's coming out, the issues of health workers, the issue of PPEs, we know some of the employers are trying, but employers like those who are in transport, those who are in good services, what do you do about that? Yeah.
Fantastic points you raised then. Of course, we'll be posing some of those questions as well to CS Simon Chelugui. We're going to take a very short break here, and when we come back, we're still continuing with the conversation. Remember, you can interact with us on our social media platforms at NTV Kenya, at Zainab Ismail. The hashtag is OSH Saves Lives. That is OSH Saves Lives. Tweet us. We'll be sampling some of your comments, and stay with us.
Nyaje wa Kenya, hii ni public service announcement kuhusu coronavirus.
The Ministry of Health advises all returnees from abroad to self-quarantine for at least 14 days, whether they feel well or unwell.
Wash your hands regularly following the 8 steps of hand washing. Wet hands with warm water, apply a small amount of soap, rub palms together, rub fingers and thumbs and the bits in between, rub nails on palms, rub the back of each hand, rinse with clean running water, and dry thoroughly with a clean dry towel.
Furthermore, it is advisable to cover your mouth and nose adequately when sneezing or coughing and immediately dispose of the tissue in a dustbin. Please do not use handkerchiefs if you can avoid it. If disposable tissue is unavailable, cough into your elbow. Try and avoid close contact with anyone showing signs of respiratory illness, such as coughing or sneezing.
Before you share any coronavirus information on social media, please verify it with Ministry of Health to avoid panic and alarm among your fellow Kenyans.
Dettol's main objective is to help children protect themselves from diseases. Do you know how we get illnesses like diarrhea, cough, and cold? No! They are spread through germs on your hands. Your hands collect germs that causes diseases. You pick up germs from any surface, like when you don't wash your hands after going to the toilet, while playing. And then you can get sick because of germs. That's why you need to fight germs to stay healthy by washing your hands regularly with Dettol soap that gives the best germ protection ever against many illness-causing germs.
Wash, wash, wash your hands. What you have to do is bath yourself. Dettol soap every day. Wash, wash, wash your hands.
Save cash by buying Pampers at reduced prices. The Jumbo Pack has reduced from $17.50 to $14.00. The Value Pack is now $7.20 from $9.90. And the Carry Pack is $1.99 from $2.20. Save, save, save with Pampers today.
Wajua wanasema food has memory, and those who nourish you are never forgotten. Unakumbuka the auntie who made sure you shibat? We jamaa wa nyama, ule anakuwekea nyama poa ya choma. The dere, happy to share your takeaway. Na huyo mama wa chai, ule ana warm your lunch before you ata uliza. Your mama mboga, ule anakuongezea ata nyanya. Ule waiter kusava haraka haraka. Na ule mandazi lady, ule anakuwekea ndao moja ya baadaye. Na your boda boda rider, ule jamaa kufikisha haraka haraka. Now this is the time to let them know they are not forgotten. This is the time to make sure every table in Kenya has food on it. The points on your phone can be food in their home. When you sit with a plate of food today, pledge to stand for someone who has put food before you. Dial *126# to transfer your bonga points now so they can buy food and necessities at any outlet with a Lipa na M-Pesa till.
Safaricom is for you.
Melissa? Mom, it's Dad's birthday today. I'm giving him a party just like he gives me.
Nothing makes a mother more proud than seeing her child growing up. But I know that as she learns to care for others, she'll face even more germs and the risk of illnesses.
That's why you need strong Dettol protection. Just 1 cup of Dettol protects your home and family from up to 100 illness-causing germs.
Growing up needs Dettol protection.
Kira! Kira? Where are you?
Malaria!
That's why you need the superior protection of Mortein 360-degree reach. Only this has 11 vents which enable it to reach the farthest corners. Mortein, total indoor protection.
Nyaje wa Kenya, hii ni public service announcement kuhusu coronavirus.
The Ministry of Health advises all returnees from abroad to self-quarantine for at least 14 days, whether they feel well or unwell.
Wash your hands regularly following the 8 steps of hand washing. Wet hands with warm water. Apply a small amount of soap. Rub palms together. Rub fingers and thumbs and the bits in between. Rub nails on palms. Rub the back of each hand. Rinse with clean running water and dry thoroughly with a clean dry towel.
Furthermore, it is advisable to cover your mouth and nose adequately when sneezing or coughing and immediately dispose of the tissue in a dustbin. Please do not use handkerchiefs if you can avoid it. If disposable tissue is unavailable, cough into your elbow. Try and avoid close contact with anyone showing signs of respiratory illness, such as coughing or sneezing.
Before you share any coronavirus information on social media, please verify it with Ministry of Health to avoid panic and alarm among your fellow Kenyans.
When I'm on, nights are restless, which makes my days worthless. I need to recharge energy with Always. Don't miss out on a second of sleep.
Now with its 60% larger back, unlike other pads, get comfortable protection all night long.
Long days, I'm fearless. Here comes the boss lady, multitasking flawless. will get the best. I'm a boss lady.
Always starts now with 50 shillings.
Stay happy always.
Maritime Tips brought to you by Kenya Maritime Authority. Precautions for vessel and boat owners, operators, coxswains and passengers. Personal hygiene. Practice frequent hand hygiene, coughing and sneezing etiquette. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects and surfaces on board the boats and vessels such as steering wheel, safety or guardrails and seats. Crew members, coxswains and passengers to regularly disinfect life jackets. Practice frequent hand washing with soap. Wear a mask on board a boat or vessel. Boat owners and operators to comply with government directives on movement restrictions within counties. Kenya Maritime Authority for safe and efficient water transport.
All right, thank you for staying with us. Of course, we're having a conversation on the occupational and safety of health of all workers in the country and beyond. So today is a very important day. Remember, the hashtag we're using today is OSH Saves Lives, and we do have a panel to have this particular conversation. But this very next question is very pertinent with regards to what is happening right now. And health professionals are now threatening to go on strike, and they're set to do that and give a notice tomorrow in what they're saying is their last resort to have their grievances addressed, saying that they're asking for improved working conditions. And this I pose to the CS Simon Chelugui. I am sure you're aware of this looming strike by health professionals, and coming at this point, this is definitely not a point or at a time where we can have our health workers, professionals going on strike. So really, what measures and interventions has the government been able to put in place to ensure that this does not happen?
Thank you very much, Zainab. Last week during presidential announcement, the President did ask the Minister of Health and also Minister of Public Service to sit down and come up with a package that will support the medical workers, both the doctors and nurses. And government is working on a package of additional stipend that will inspire motivation and commitment from these health workers. We do recognize health workers as our frontline soldiers in this war. A war we don't see it's not a conventional war. We can't see the enemy. We don't see the bombs. We are not seeing the artillery that is normal in any conventional war. This is an enemy that is invisible and moves through our bodies. And the only reliable soldiers and defense mechanism that we have is through health workers. And after Ministry of Health and Public Service have come up with proposals, our Ministry of Labor, working together with the unions and representatives of health workers, will sit down and look at the proposals, because there are so many ways of motivating a worker. One of them is provision of protective personal equipment that ensures the lives of workers first. Number two is medical insurance of the same medical workers. Enhancement of this would go a long way in motivating the health workers. And two and three, there are other supportive remunerations that can help cushion and maybe also inspire commitment from these workers, maybe through welfare issues like access to easy loans, transport, maybe late night transport, and also provision of a safe environment, working environment, which includes isolation areas for potential or suspected sick or suspected patients who come into contact with these health workers. The current knowledge on transmission of this disease or pandemic is, number one, through contact, and two, through droplets. Now, through continuous cleaning of workstations would protect or secure health workers. And these are some of the issues, other than money, that health workers would like to be addressed. And I think we are waiting, as a Ministry of Labor, being in charge of labor issues, to review what public service and also Ministry of Health have come up with, so that we come up with an wholesome package, and also a package that speaks to other sectors. Because you know, labor issues are cross-cutting. The benefits that we share with health workers might trigger a reaction on other workers. However, our priority right now is on health workers, who are our frontline soldiers in this pandemic.
So, Bwana CS, just to clarify, are you having a conversation with the Kenya Health Professional Society with regards to that strike? Because it is set for tomorrow, apparently.
My labor officer, or the labor commissioner, has been engaging with the union or the representatives of health workers, but we are waiting to see the real issues that health workers are looking for before we intervene. Remember, there are a lot of negotiations and engagements before our intervention. So we are ready and willing to look at these issues and support health workers in achieving their aspirations.
All right, thank you, Bwana CS. And of course, we'll be getting a pointer there from Ernest in just a moment. But before that, I'll just go straight to Dr. Andrew Muruka. Dr. Andrew, currently, the current legislative framework in the country around regulation of infectious diseases does not expressly provide for the conduct of employers. So then where does that leave us? Dr. Andrew, I think we've lost the audio there, but I think Dr. Musa will be able to also probably answer that. If you heard me, Dr. Musa, I was asking about the current legal framework, legislative framework in the country with regards to, of course, infectious diseases, which does not expressly provide for the conduct of employers in the country. So then I was asking, where does that leave us as, workers?
Thank you. Thank you. I hope I'm clear enough.
Yes, you are.
First, I would like to really thank you for that question. And I would also like to thank my cabinet secretary, because he has really been candid in indicating that really we are at war. We may not be having a war where we have tankers and bullets, but we are at war. And the same has been reflected by His Excellency the President. Now, let me talk about what is in existence today in terms of legislation. The legislation we talk about is the Work Injury Benefits Act. Now, the Work Injury Benefits Act, just like the Occupational Safety and Health Act, is benchmarked on the best practice and the best advice of the International Labour Organization. And this legislation covers for the possibility of injury by workers as a result of their work. And the injury actually includes occupational disease. As you look at the entire act, there's a specific section on section 38 that gives a worker who gets disability as a result of an occupational disease, or who dies as a result of an occupational disease, it actually recognizes it as compensable. Now, the Work Injury Benefits Act does have what we call a second schedule. On that second schedule, there's a list of diseases which are considered occupational diseases, and there are some infections you'll find there, including HIV for person who's working. There are tuberculosis and anthrax, among others. But this list is not exhaustive. On Section B of the same Act indicates that any other disease that the worker might contract in the course of his employment. Now, this is what the legislation says. When you are at war, however, you understand that what is prescribed by law may actually sometimes be found to be insufficient. And whereas a frontline worker contracting an infection, including COVID-19, in the course of his employment should be considered as an occupational disease, we need to be alive to the fact of what this means to the employer. Because we do have a legislation that places responsibility on the employer as the responsible party in the event of the occurrence of an occupational disease in the workplace, and therefore places the responsibility not only to treat, to rehabilitate, to compensate in case of disability, and of course compensate also in case of death.
All right.
And that's the lacuna, that's the void that exists currently in legislation.
All right.
There are ongoing discussions which I would make you alive to on a tripartite setting, and we hope it's going to see the light of day. And it has been shown to be a big void, the void of an occupational disease fund, which would easily have mitigated the effects of the COVID-19. This has been an ongoing discussion for the last 5 years, and in consultation with our cabinet secretary, he has been consulting with the National Treasury about the possibility of this fund being effected under the Public Financial Management Act. We know that this is going to be one of the ways in which COVID-19 and any other occupational disease can be mitigated. But like I said, I would really like to thank both our cabinet secretary as well as our social partners, because we have been having a social dialogue, a discussion about what needs to happen, and to be able to, as a family, as a nation, for us to be able to walk out of this together. So that we walk out of this becomes a reason why we become more unified in the need for us to continuously invest in safety and health, and also to protect the vulnerable, who may be, in this case, our frontline workers.
All right, so there are definitely very, very important lessons to be learned there. Dr. Andrew, we'll be getting back to you in just a moment. Dr. Musa, beg your pardon. But we have gotten Ernest back. Thank you, Ernest, for joining us once again. So we did ask the CS question with regards to the looming strike by the health professionals, and he says they are in talks with them. But from the trade union's perspective, what are you looking at? What are you working with regards to this, and in ensuring that we are not going to face another crisis in a crisis that we're already going through?
Okay, thank you very much, Zainab. Yeah, I didn't get it that I was off air, but all in all, I think there shouldn't be any panic at all. Why am I saying that? I'm saying that because the doctors, rather the health workers and other professions in the health sector are alive to what we are going through. And that is the very reason the law anticipated in such circumstances, or any other circumstance, an employer cannot just wake up and call a strike. The law anticipated that you give out, if you have exhausted the internal machinery, you issue a notice to the employer. And in this case, the nurses threatened that if their grievances will not be attended to, then they will have to issue a notice tomorrow. But even as much as that is happening, we must also critically look at the grievance. One of the grievances the nurses unions have raised, quite a number of them are affiliated to COTU, is they have issues with. The other day, I think a week ago, the president gave out a package, I think amounting a whooping almost 2-point-something billion.
Right, and this CS actually noted that.
Yeah, the welfare, to take care of the welfare of the nurses. That is rather to incentivize them in the face of this COVID-19.
But now the nurses union are lamenting. The nurses union are saying no. There is no playing ground. It is a lopsided kind of implementation of the president directive by public service. How have they done it? The package that they got, it was directed to the doctors. So they are saying they have not benefited from it. That is one. Number two, they have also raised issues with the PPEs. And this is why I've continuously talked about the issue of post-corona. We must critically sit down. These issues of PPE by doctors did not start today by nurses. There was a time they had a strike for almost 90 days, and they are talking about the situation at workplace. But anyway, fast forward, what we are facing now is that within the current CS, we know this is not a CS who will sleep on his job. I'm sure he's proactive. He must have contacted the parties because a week is long enough to resolve this issue. I hope the CS health is also listening because I'm told yesterday he alluded to the fact that they're looking at those issues. So we can avert this. The government has a machinery. The government has always to make sure that they avert this particular. This is the worst time we are going to face with this. Workers now downing their tools and assets. This is unimaginable. What are they demanding? They're only saying the 2 plus billion. They need a share. What they are saying, they be provided with PPEs because of the casualties all over the world. The people who are bearing the brand of this are the nurses. These are people, what they're simply asking for are PPEs. And the government has continued to tell us the PPEs are there. But what the government says is different from what is on the ground. So what I'm really appealing to the government through our CS Labor to make sure that these issues are addressed. The issues of notice of strike, this is not the right time, but it is the right. Kenyans need to know it is the right of the nurses, it is the right of the workers to demand for what is rightfully theirs.
All right, thanks, Ernest. And on that note, we're going to take yet another short break. When we come back, we'll continue with the conversation. Remember, I'll be sampling some of your comments and views during this live broadcast. The hashtag is OSH Saves Lives. Do talk to us on our social media platforms and stay with us.
Disinfect and protect your home with Jik. Jik kills 99.9% of illness-causing germs. Disinfect floors, kitchen and bathroom surfaces, and wash white clothes, towels, and dishcloths with Jik bleach. Just Jik it.
You may be alone at home, but you can show solidarity with others by sharing Bonga Points. Share your Bonga Points with your family and friends who are in need but can't afford to buy food. Share your story or video of how you've helped a fellow Kenyan to our FB page NTV Kenya, Twitter page at NTV Kenya, Instagram at NTV Kenya, SMS 20686 or WhatsApp number 0745 925 002.
Good morning, Janet.
Wow! And you are?
I'm Casey. Now help you with anything to do with your KCB bank account. Pay bills, transfers, statements.
You're hired.
I'm your internet banking security ninja. I'm your 24/7 personal assistant.
Super.
So, we can always talk about your account, online, whenever you like. Need a ride?
Let's go.
Alrighty. With you anywhere, anytime.
Register at your nearest branch for KCB Internet Banking today.
Nyaji wa Kenya, hii ni public service announcement kuhusu coronavirus.
The Ministry of Health advises all returnees from abroad to self-quarantine for at least 14 days, whether they feel well or unwell.
Wash your hands regularly following the 8 steps of hand washing. Wet hands with warm water. Apply a small amount of soap. Rub palms together. rub fingers and thumbs and the bits in between, rub nails on palms, rub the back of each hand, rinse with clean running water, and dry thoroughly with a clean dry towel.
Furthermore, it is advisable to cover your mouth and nose adequately when sneezing or coughing and immediately dispose of the tissue in a dustbin. Please do not use handkerchiefs if you can avoid it. If disposable tissue is unavailable, cough into your elbow. Try and avoid close contact with anyone showing signs of respiratory illness, such as coughing or sneezing.
Before you share any coronavirus information on social media, please verify it with Ministry of Health to avoid panic and alarm among your fellow Kenyans.
Shawa ni sawa, ukishawa na sawa.
Inakawia bana, inakawia
Shawa ni sawa.
Wazi yangu iko sawa, ninanukia vifiti. Rangi ya kupendeza bei, iko poa ching ching ching.
Shawa ni sawa.
Usifleki bana, wetu ni sawa, ushinde.
Sawa all day.
Shower has never been better with the new look Sour. Now with a new formulation too that will leave you feeling fresh for longer, while the soap lasts even longer.
The risk of illness-causing germs is increasing. It is believed that the coronavirus can remain on surfaces in your home for up to 9 days. Touching infected surfaces is one of the ways in which germs spread. Regularly disinfect your floors, countertops, and kitchen surfaces with bleach, and use an effective toilet cleaner inside and outside your toilet bowl. This message is brought to you by Medifacts, JIC, and HAPIC.
Did you know Mwalimu Plus e-tutor provides your child with personalized learning and is free for class 4 and 6. Class 3, 5, 7 and 8 pay 50% or 5 bob a day. Did you know that the Mwalimu Plus system guides children while they work on problems? At Mwalimu Plus, our main focus is on e-learning.
The app is free for class 4 and 6, and class 3, 5, 7 and 8 pay 50% or pay just 5 bob a day. Download the Mwalimu Plus app on Google Play, register and watch your child's performance improve.
Birthday party. Birthday party. Birthday party. Are we not invited? We have gifts. Malaria.
Mommy, best!
Rat.
Oh, die.
Party.
Compared to an ordinary spray, Mortein Doom Power Guard kills disease-causing pests instantly. Mortein Doom Power Guard.
The risk of illness-causing germs is increasing. It is believed that the coronavirus can remain on surfaces in your home for up to 9 days. Touching infected surfaces is one of the ways in which germs spread. Regularly disinfect your floors, countertops, and kitchen surfaces with bleach, and use an effective toilet cleaner inside and outside your toilet bowl. This message is brought to you by Medifacts, JIC, and HAPIC.
This is NTV.
Tonight,
The only commence operations upon receipt of a permit from the county director, the public health to operate food business during the period of COVID-19 pandemic.
more measures for restaurants and eateries. But is the new setup really workable or good for business?
Arranging the table as was suggested may not really work very well for us.
Also tonight, the grim future of employment.
Employment in the modern sector recorded a growth of 2.4% in 2019 compared to 2.8% in 2018.
But if 2019 was bad, 2020 is likely to be worse, thanks to a global pandemic.
Most of the economic activities have so far been slowed down by restrictions resulting from containment and cessation of sections of the population.
Plus, pregnancy and birth in times of a pandemic and restricted movement.
Nilikuwa saa 12 nilikuwa nimeshindwa
Sasa nikaenda hapo kwa mgunga Rospela. Sasa kuchika kwa tumbo akasema mtoto amefika.
How a Kakamega chief is helping preserve new life at a time when human life is itself under threat.
Wajaribu kusimamisha wakina mama ama wajawazito kuzalia kwa midwives. Na hiyo ndio sasa imekuwa imeanza kwa sababu ya curfew.
Tumeambiwa tusaidie jamii. So kusaidia jamii ni kujitolea.
And the world is searching for a vaccine, and Kenya is part of the effort.
We can work with the other partners to get it developed and done within Kenya.
We look at KEMRI's progress and the resource and capacity limitations.
The risk of illness-causing germs is increasing. It is believed that the coronavirus can remain on surfaces in your home for up to 9 days. Touching infected surfaces is one of the ways in which germs spread. Regularly disinfect your floors, countertops, and kitchen surfaces with bleach. And use an effective toilet cleaner inside and outside your toilet bowl. This message is brought to you by Medifacts, JIC, and HAPIC.
Selena!
Toto, where's mommy?
Today's a toilet day.
What? Oh.
Selena!
Toilet day?
Tomorrow we're hosting a party and it's a matter of my reputation.
It's a toilet, not a white shirt. Even if you spend your entire day cleaning with bleach and detergent, it still won't be party ready.
Impossible.
Challenge. HAPIC 10X. Even if you use bleach and detergent 10 times, they won't give you the same sparkling clean toilet that HAPIC 10X will give you.
Wow!
HAPIC 10X. HAPIC, Kenya's #1 toilet cleaner.
For a better tomorrow, don't forget to do the 1, 2, 3 with Colgate every night.
Disinfect and protect your home with JIC. JIC kills 99.9% of illness-causing germs. Disinfect floors, kitchen and bathroom surfaces, and wash white clothes, towels, and dishcloths with JIC bleach. Just JIC it.
When you're facing stubborn stains, you're always in a fierce fight, especially when others are fleeing away. However, with Cleesoft, I can make it so easy.
Cleesoft iko na 3 times particle energy to particles to blue husaidia kutoa mastain ngumu ngumu na ina enzymes za kulinda nguo zako ndio ziachwe zikikaa fresh.
Cleesoft kicks out stains kimateki.
Serious?
Nyaje wa Kenya, hii ni public service announcement kuhusu coronavirus.
The Ministry of Health advises all returnees from abroad to self-quarantine for at least 14 days, whether they feel well or unwell.
Wash your hands regularly following the 8 steps of hand washing. Wet hands with warm water. Apply a small amount of soap. Rub palms together. Rub fingers and thumbs and the bits in between. Rub nails on palms. Rub the back of each hand. Rinse with clean running water and dry thoroughly with a clean dry towel.
Furthermore, it is advisable to cover your mouth and nose adequately when sneezing or coughing and immediately dispose of the tissue in a dustbin. Please do not use handkerchiefs if you can avoid it. If disposable tissue is unavailable, cough into your elbow. Try and avoid close contact with anyone showing signs of respiratory illness, such as coughing or sneezing.
Before you share any coronavirus information on social media, please verify it with Ministry of Health to avoid panic and alarm among your fellow Kenyans.
Oya ni aje, mimi ndo Jonte Fresh. Mimi ndio nimetambulika hii Gikomba yote sekta ya manguo. Jumi transform nguo ordinary za mtush zenye ziuka mna hii harufu ya bale into the freshest igi kosi yote. Siri ni hii Ariel mpya ya pink. na kushow mtushi zinang'ara kung'ara kushinda kamera. So clean, so fresh. Makastoma unaisana na hii story. Ninatumia aerial touch of down ya mpya tu.
All right, thank you for staying with us. On the screen, we do have Ernest Nadome, who is the Co-to Assistant Secretary General, Simon Chelugui, the Cabinet Secretary for Labour and Protection, Social Protection. We do have Dr. Musa Nyandusi, who's the Director, Directorate Occupational Safety and Health Services, which falls under the Ministry of Labour and Social Protection, as well as Dr. Andrew Muruka, the Deputy Director Head at the National Institute for Occupational Safety and Health. And I will be asking Dr. Andrew Muruka to just give us an idea of really why it is important to have workplace audits and risk assessments. Is this something that can be able to save lives, and especially now that we're facing a pandemic, is this something that could come into play to probably help avert more crisis?
Thank you very much, Zainabu. I think that is a very, very important question. And at this time when we want to stop the pandemic, risk assessments become a key pillar. Risk assessments, first of all, they are able to identify the hazard to which employees are exposed to, the type of employees exposed, and the kind of resources that they have. And then in the process, we also identify the gaps that needs to be put in place to ensure that those type of employees are safe. So risk assessments are a key pillar to the management of occupational safety and health at the workplace. Now, when it comes to safety and health audits, and that is not the only type of audit that we have also have fire safety audits, we also have air quality monitoring, we also have plant
Dr.
safety
Andrew,
and
we do apologize.
examination.
We can hear you, but we cannot be able to see you, unfortunately. Let's just fix that hitch there, and we'll be getting your comments in just a moment. Let me now cross over live to Dr. Musa Nyandusi. Also, very quickly, Dr. Musa, Dr. Andrew was talking about the importance of having a risk assessment, especially on the occupational safety and health within the workplace. And I'm going to ask you this: what really are the tools for conducting safety audits and risk assessments? But also a very important question that some Kenyans are raising is the fact that they are not seeing OSH inspectors on the ground as often as they would wish to see them.
Thank you, Zainab. The question of safety and health audits, they are actually statutory. They are statutory in nature. The Occupational Safety and Health Act provides for the need to have periodic safety and health audits in all workplaces. In instances where you are either starting an enterprise or changing processes or having a new occurrence in the workplace, you must conduct a health risk assessment. Now, an audit, there are different kinds of audits. There are audits that are what we call the safety and health audits. We do have what we call fire audits, which basically check every workplace for fire readiness. You do have what we call air quality audits, which essentially look at the air quality. You know, what you have in terms of particles, what kind of gases are there, and if possible, what kind of microbes are there. That's a form of an air quality audit. We have further audits which we conduct in the workplace, which target what we call plants. They are called plant audits. Plant audits, we talk about, for example, movable plants such as lifts, such as escalators, such as elevators. These are statutory in nature.
Right.
Obviously, having these audits in place recognize that every workplace is unique and gives them an opportunity where they can intervene in their unique setting to be able to right some of the and correct some of the anomalies that may be present in their workplaces. These audits, we do have people we call approved persons. These approved persons, we also call them competent persons and institutions. These are people who have the necessary skills, training, and academic background for them to conduct these audits. And we register them. A lot of them are private players, and they are our extended reach into the workplace. Is it enough? Just like you mentioned, their print may be a little less than our desire is, but we intend to continue extending our reach further and further to include all workplaces. But indeed, having occupational safety and health audits and risk assessments, which are periodic, which are timely, are really important in reducing incidences of injuries and diseases at work and
Thank you,
contribute
Dr.
towards the safety and health.
All right, thanks, Dr. Musa. And of course, in just for the sake of fairness, let's also give an opportunity to Dr. Andrew Muruka to be able to finish his sentiments as well with regards to the workplace audit and risk assessment, and really where the National Institute for Occupational Safety and Health plays with regards to that, and of course in light of the crisis we're facing.
Thank you very much. I think Dr. Nyandusi has elucidated those issues very clearly.
Right.
The only thing I want to add with respect to the Institute is that again, we have approved, as the Directorate, a number of training institutions. And one of the main functions of those institutions is to conduct training in occupational safety and health in all workplaces in the country. And every year we have continued to increase the number of training institutions. And this is one way of actually increasing our footprint into the workplaces directly. Because immediately they finish this kind of training programs, they send us the reports, and we are able to monitor what is going on in every workplace that we have. Now, in addition to what we say that audits can achieve, we have what we call safety and health committees in workplaces. So every workplace with a population or employee staff rating of more than 20 employees is required by law to have a safety and health committee.
Mm-hmm.
And these committees, we train them together and in partnership with the training institutions that we have talked about. And in the process, in all this, we have also created a curriculum for creating awareness and ensuring that every workplace and every worker indeed has access to information on occupational safety and health.
All right, thank you.
And we have, last year alone, we trained more than 100,000 employees. And we continue to put a lot of emphasis on creating awareness about hazards at work and what employees can do to make themselves safe.
Thank you, Dr. Andrew. And this now goes to the CS Simon Chelugui. Of course, a very pertinent issue here that has also been raised, and I've seen it come up about in different platforms. It is a proposal to consider what they call a future employment insurance fund, which is aimed to sort of cushion Kenyans or workers who end up losing their jobs due to calamities of any kind. And specifically looking at what we are facing, the calamity that we're facing now is the COVID-19 pandemic. So how does the government see this particular proposal?
Thank you very much. Sign up. Following the outbreak of this pandemic, a lot of thinking has gone into management of emergencies like this. And my ministry, in consultation with other stakeholders and social partners, is also looking outward, looking at other jurisdictions. We have seen similar cases or similar employment insurance funds in jurisdictions like South Africa, Brazil, and America. And looking and studying the management of these employment insurance schemes, we find that this would be a solution in management of future pandemics. Corona may come and go, but we don't want to repeat the same mistakes that we are facing now. We are unable to sustain employees in workplaces for more than 3 months. Most employers, I am yet to come across one employer who is able to sustain workers for more than 3 months. And in view of that, there is need for us to build a fund that can sustain employment for 7 months like in South Africa, or even 1 year like in America. This means we need to build a contributory fund. Workers and employers need to build an insurance fund that will take care of employers whenever a pandemic like this arises, which is not caused by either the mistakes of employer or employee. So as government, we are reviewing all this literature. We are reviewing all established employment insurance schemes elsewhere because we don't have it here in Kenya. What we have in Kenya are acts or accidents that affect workers at workplaces. But we don't have an insurance scheme that take care of employees when a pandemic like this arises. We are likely to face serious social challenge, and that is why government has gone further and announced 10 billion grant. And we are looking at old men, PWDs, and children. But there are emerging vulnerable groups, people who are working and earning salaries. Now they are no longer in job, no longer employed.
Right.
And therefore, they become destitute. You can imagine workers who are working for Kenya Airways. All the airlines, all the planes are packed. All those crews are at home. If this problem persists, all those workers will be out of job. What is going to happen to their families, their livelihoods? They are not able to deliver bread to their families. So as a government, this is the most important thinking that we need to look so that we don't repeat these mistakes again, or if such a situation arises, we can be able to manage.
All right, thank you, Bona CS. And of course, we are definitely out of time. So I'm just going to give each one of you not more than 1 minute to just give your last and final remarks with regards to today's conversation. I'll start with Ernest Nadome, who's a KOTU First Assistant Secretary General. Ernest, and even as you probably give your final remarks, you know, what has also come on the table is the fact that the daily wage earners are now facing a stark decision on whether to stay home and stay safe or go out and get some food. So over to you, Ernest.
Thank you very much, Zainab. That is the crisis. These are the facts that we are facing. We are torn in between. Do they get out there, look for work, or really, or they go out, expose themselves? So these are things. But before I comment on that, I think I've really wanted to comment on the issue of this audit to the Director of Occupational Health and Safety. If you'll allow me, please, 1-2 minutes. You know, allow me, Zainab.
1 minute, 20 seconds.
Yeah, allow me. You see, the director, Dr. Nyanduzi, has elaborated very well what they're supposed to do, audit training at workplace and all that. But we must face the reality. I must lay bare before the CS that it is one thing to have a very rich OSHA Act. It mirrors what is in the ILO. ILO are involved in it. But I must confess that there have been serious challenges in terms of enforcement. And what is causing this enforcement is underfunding from Treasury. I'm happy that the current CS Treasury was in the Ministry of Labor, and he experienced this stark reality. And now I think it's upon our current CS, and with what we are facing with the COVID-19, it is high time the government now allocates money to this particular directorate. Let me tell you, out there, I come from an industry, electricity subsector. When you talk about issue of safety, it is all over. Whether it is there or not, I can authoritatively tell you, with the workers, the ministry, this particular department needs to be funded. They need to have the team. They need to have inspectors down there as we speak. Even now, all those things I've talked about. When I mentioned it yesterday, there are some employees who have never seen, or even employers who have never seen an officer, an inspector from that particular director. I know the doctor means well, the CS means well, but this particular department is underfunded. At this point in time, the government needs to go out of its way to allocate money in during this particular pandemic.
All right, thank you, Ernest. I think your time is up now. I think we've been able to raise those particular issues, and we're now going to go to Dr. Musa Nyandusi, and of course, like you've heard, Dr. Ernest has raised some pertinent issues there, touching on the OSH and its mandate. Very quickly, 40 seconds.
Thank you. First, let us not forget that today is the day for the World Day for Safety and Health and what it portends. Let us remember that today is the day when we commemorate people who died and of course remember those who got injured in the course of their work.
Apologies, Dr. Musa Nyandusi, we'll be getting back to you. We're actually just getting your sound, but we cannot be able to get, you have frozen on the screen. I think if you can hear me, Dr. Musa, we'll be getting to you. We still have your minute to go. Let's now cross over live to Dr. Andrew Muruka. Dr. Andrew, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much for this. What I want to say are only two things. Number one is that the theme for this year's World Day for Safety and Health is Stop the Pandemic, Safety and Health at Work and Save Lives. I want us to rally around this and ensure that things that have been directed by government, including wearing of masks in all public places, must be adhered to. I believe that corona anywhere is corona everywhere, and therefore we must unite, all of us, to fight this pandemic. Secondly, I want to urge all employers to treat waste coming from masks as hazardous waste and provide safe disposal facilities for those kind of masks. Thank you very much.
Fantastic. Thank you so much, Dr. Andrew. And CS Simon Chelugui, you also probably get 40 seconds on this platform to give your final remarks.
Thank you very much, Zainab. I want to reiterate my ministry's commitment and the government of Kenya commitment in working with workers and employers in ensuring occupational safety and health of workers. Because especially during this period, I wish all of you a safe and healthy life as you continue to develop our beloved country, Kenya. Stay safe and God bless you.
Thank you so much, Bonasias, and God bless you too. And finally, we have gotten back Dr. Musa Nyandusi. Dr. Musa, the floor is yours. Your final remarks.
First, I would like to thank the Minister for gracing today. Let us not forget today. Today is the World Day for Safety and Health. And for us to internalize what this means and to be able to inculcate a culture of safety and health that actually starts with us. And secondly, for us to talk as a family, to encourage social dialogue, to follow our legislations, but to find proactive ways to be addressing the safety and health issues that are going to be affecting us, including the current challenge in COVID-19.
I think, thank you so much, Dr. Musa Nyandusi, for making it very brief and to the point. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Ernest Nadome there, the Court Assistant Secretary General. We also had Mr. Simon Chelugui, who was the Cabinet Secretary, Labour and Social Protection. Dr. Musa Nyandusi, Director, Directorate Occupational Safety and Health Services, as well as Dr. Andrew Muruka, who is the Deputy Director Head at the National Institute for Occupational Safety and Health. Of course, today we were discussing what the world was marking, the World Day for Safety and Health at Work, and the United Nations has adopted the Stop the Pandemic theme with regards and in light of what is happening in the country today. We were following and we were tweeting on the hashtag, hashtag OSH Saves Lives. You can continue with the conversation. We will be engaging with you on our social media platforms. Thank you so much for watching. My name is Zainab Ismail. Do have yourself a fantastic evening and stay safe.
rashes again? Kiss Kids diapers. Kiss Kids, no rashes. Kiss Kids, no rashes. Bye-bye rashes. Buy diapers. Choose Kiss Kids.
Eda usheze hapo nje na ngazi. Wacha nichukue akakasemi. Haina tila. Hebu kama dadi kuna kitu ameficha. Nini hiyo? Mkate. Mkate.
Unaona selector sasa hii selector iko na kizesta. Maze.
Unajua watu wengine wanaambia sasa nini? Ati mkate yote kubwa ni selector. Hapana. Selector ni selector.
Selector. The difference is in the taste. And now, Selector comes with free Zesta jam for a limited period of time.
Coronavirus ni ugonjwa ambao imetuathiri sisi kama wananchi. Na hasa sana hii kijiji yetu tungependa wana Sofco waweze kutusaidia. Maana kuna wale ambao hatujiwezi. Watusaidie, watuletee sabuni ya kunawa mikono na hata watuletee mask ya kufunika mapua so that iweze tusiathirike sana.
Nyaja wa Kenya. Hii ni public service announcement kuhusu coronavirus.
The Ministry of Health advises all returnees from abroad to self-quarantine for at least 14 days, whether they feel well or unwell.
Wash your hands regularly following the 8 steps of hand washing. Wet hands with warm water. Apply a small amount of soap. Rub palms together. Rub fingers and thumbs and the bits in between. Rub nails on palms. Rub the back of each hand. Rinse with clean running water and dry thoroughly with a clean dry towel.
Furthermore, it is advisable to cover your mouth and nose adequately when sneezing or coughing and immediately dispose of the tissue in a dustbin. Please do not use handkerchiefs if you can avoid it. If disposable tissue is unavailable, cough into your elbow. Try and avoid close contact with anyone showing signs of respiratory illness, such as coughing or sneezing.
Before you share any coronavirus information on social media, please verify it with Ministry of Health to avoid panic and alarm among your fellow Kenyans.
What do you see on the horizon? They say how you start your decade will determine how the rest of it will be. Imagine a decade full of opportunities, investment being one of them. Do you want a place to feed your mind, body and soul? A place to unwind every day, where you can get your health and fitness goals attained. A secure place for your family. A center for quality academic goals for your kids. Or perhaps a place to connect with your friends. Well, you can get all this and more at Amani Ridge, the place of peace, just 20 kilometers from the CBD. Call us today on 0790 300 300 or visit www.optivan.co.ke.
Ramadan brings hope. It is a season of holy devotion and spiritual purification. Today, we join the Muslim Ummah in marking the holy month of Ramadan. During this period and always, ensure that all your transactions are free from elements of uncertainty and gambling by only investing your money differently. Bank different with Gulf African Bank. If not now, when? Call us on 0711 075 000 or SMS join to 21981. Remember to adhere to the government's health and safety regulations to combat COVID-19. May God protect us. Ramadan Mubarak.
This is NTV.
A very good evening to you and welcome to NTV Tonight. On a day, the number of coronavirus cases passes the 1 million mark in the United States of America. Well, let's start with the global numbers and the total infections as at this hour around the world, according to Worldometer, stand at 3,102,658. There have been 214,105 deaths and 944,067 people have recovered from the coronavirus. Africa's total infections stand at 34,883. 1,510 people have died in Africa and 11,006 people have recovered. And to the United States now, the total infections there are at 1,019,823. The death toll is at 57,601 and the recoveries are at 139,927. Staggering figures right there. A check on Kenya in just a moment, but first, these are the highlights.
Tonight, we only commence operations upon receipt of a permit from the county director, the public health to operate food business during the period of COVID-19 pandemic. More measures for restaurants and eateries. But is the new setup really workable or good for business?
Arranging the table as was suggested may not really work very well for us.
Also tonight, the grim future of employment.
Employment in the modern sector recorded a growth of 2.4% in 2019 compared to 2.8% in 2018.
But if 2019 was bad, 2020 is likely to be worse, thanks to a global pandemic.
Most of the economic activities have so far been slowed down by restrictions resulting from containment and cessation of sections of the population.
Plus, pregnancy and birth in times of a pandemic and restricted movement.
Nilikuwa saa 12 nilikuwa nimeshindwa. Sasa nikaenda hapo kwa mgunga Rospela. Sasa kuchika kwa tumbo akasema mtoto amefika.
How a Kakamega chief is helping preserve new life at a time when human life is itself under threat.
Wajaribu kusimamisha wakina mama ama wajawazito kuzalia kwa midwives. Na hiyo ndio sasa imekuwa imeanza kwa sababu ya curfew.
Tumeambiwa tusaidie jamii. So kusaidia jamii ni kujitolea.
And the world is searching for a vaccine and Kenya is part of the effort.
We can work with the other partners to get it developed and done within Kenya.
We look at KEMRI's progress and the resource and capacity limitations.
NTV Tonight with Smriti Vidyarthi.
Flora Atieno joins us in sign language interpretation tonight. Now, the number of new coronavirus cases in the country has increased by 11, bringing the total number of infections in Kenya to 374. The new cases were confirmed out of 589 samples tested in the last 24 hours. The 11 are aged between 3 and 75 years old. Of the 11, 7 are from Nairobi, while the remaining 4 are from Mombasa County. In Nairobi, Kawangware had 4 cases, Eastleigh 1 case, Kaloleni 1 and Maji Estate 1. And in Mombasa, all the 4 cases were from the Old Town area. Well, meanwhile, the Ministry of Health has ruled out the opening of clubs and bars. Silas Apollo reports that the government has had to explain in detail the restaurant guidelines.
The government insists that restaurants and eateries will only be allowed to operate under strict measures and guidelines. One of them is attaining a certificate of approval confirming adherence to the guidelines.
You only commence operations of those premises upon receipt of a permit from the county director, the public health to operate food business during the period of COVID-19 pandemic.
And to get this approval, the restaurants will have to test all their staff members and provide a list of the results to the ministry. Ensure customers sit at least 1.5 2.5 meters apart, as well as the dining tables. Any person entering a restaurant or an eatery will have their temperature taken. Those with temperatures above 37 degrees denied entry. To achieve this, the premises will be required to install contact-free thermometers. Hotels, restaurants and eateries will also be required to have sanitizers, as well as install hand-washing bays in designated areas within their premises.
The guidelines are not very punitive. They're only reinforcing the social distancing measures and hygiene measures that have always been advocated by the ministry.
Kuria says self-service in hotels and eateries have been suspended, while no business will be allowed to conduct rapid tests on their staff should they opt for private testing. As for questions of opening the entertainment spots,
we did not open pubs for business. Pubs remain closed until further notice.
Aman says the decision is part of plans by the government to reopen the economy in phases while reducing the spread of the virus.
We need to maintain that fine balance of being able to at least open up part of the economy without having to compromise on the containment measures that have been put in place. Restaurant management must read and understand these guidelines as the reopening is predicated on full compliance to the guidelines.
Silas Apollo, NTV.
All right, we'll bring you more on the directive in just a moment and get a sense of whether it's something that really can work or not. But elsewhere, the government has remained non-committal on who is responsible for medical bills of those receiving treatment for coronavirus at the various treatment facilities. Now, this comes after a section of patients at the Kenyatta University Referral Hospital threatened to commit suicide over accumulated bills at the facility. Well, the government says it will only cater for the cost of tests and medication for those in government facilities. But the government says it has received and will respond to the cries of those in the facilities and will assess those in need on an individual basis. 3 patients caused a commotion at the Kenyatta University Referral Hospital on Monday, threatening to jump from a 5-story building over the accumulated charges. And at the same time, the Kenyatta University has clarified that the referral hospital is managed by the Ministry of Health.
In most cases, it is the quarantee who will bear the cost of quarantine. However, in cases of need and when it can be established need, the government is taking that on a case-by-case basis.
All right, let's take you back to the directive regarding the reopening of eateries and restaurants. Now, that directive allows the reopening of restaurants and eateries and comes as a relief for business owners, many of whom have been counting losses over the period. But while some have opened their doors to allow sit-in customers, others are still re-evaluating what model works best for their business while ensuring the safety of personnel and customers. Ruth Samway has more.
Restaurants and eateries across the country are heeding to the call by government to open their doors for business. But with such strict guidelines to meet before attaining a certificate of approval, many are rethinking their business models. At the Nasco's restaurant in Nairobi city centre, the management is still contemplating the next course of action.
Even though we were given that leeway that we may open as restaurants and hotels, the challenge or the question is, where are those customers going to come from? Because I trust out there many citizens would rather avoid going to eateries, because anybody going to an eatery expects to meet other clients too. It's a challenge knowing or rather establishing where those other clients have come from.
Some hotels have, however, begun implementing the new directives with the hope of getting the necessary approvals. Big Square 680 is one such eatery that has opened their doors for customers to dine within their premises. First things first, sanitizing hands and temperature checks for incoming diners, then you can proceed to a table.
Our customers, before they get into the premises, first of all they must have their mask on, and then we'll take your temperature reading. Then we make sure that we sanitize your hands.
Customers too have a part to play, and one way is by strictly making payment through mobile money transfer or cards.
Generally, it is a very good gesture. Let them improve more on this, and they should take it up to ile ya saa moja, sio saa 10.
While waiting for my meal, I take the time to measure the distance between the tables just to see if they adhere to the 1.5 meter rule. My finding, 1.8 meters, more than the recommended distance.
Those restaurants and eateries that have been operating, they had health approvals. And they knew, every hotel operator or restaurant operator knew that you had to apply for a permit to operate a restaurant or eatery through the county public health department.
The food industry is among those hardest hit by the economic slowdown. Some had either relieved their staff of duty or sent them to indefinite leave. But to this announcement to reopen comes as a relief, the reality of it is much less so. Ruth Sarmoi, NTV, Nairobi.
All right, something we'll be keeping a close eye on. Now, if the COVID-19 pandemic has disrupted life as we know it, then the movement restrictions that have come with it have made it worse. Now, while mobility controls and social distancing have been proven to be the most effective way of controlling the spread of the virus, they are a major hindrance to certain aspects of human life that no one has control over, like pregnancy emergencies and childbirth. Well, that's why a local administrator in Matungu area of Kakamega County has developed a program that allows and even facilitates expectant mothers to continue with their medical routines regardless of the hour. Leila Mohammed has that story.
When signs of the baby's arrival came a week ago for Doreen Akinyi, a resident of Indangalasia in Matungu constituency of Kakamega County, it was a tough call between answering a call of nature under professional care and obeying the curfew time. Doreen's only option was a midwife.
Saa 12 nilikuwa nimeshindwa. Sasa nikaenda hapo kwa Mugunga Rospela. Sasa kuchika kwa tumbo, akasema mtoto amefika. Kwani tukatoka mpaka kwa barabara. Vile tulifika, nikapata huyu mwami anakuja. Walikuwa wamempigia simu. Sasa kukutana hapo, akasema kwanza hiyo masaa tuwezi enda bila barua. Akaenda kwa ofisi, akaleta barua na boda. Sasa ndio nikaenda.
Today, she holds a baby in her arms, thankful for the help she received from the local administration. It is because of such frustrations at the moment that the area chief Roslida Okello joined up with others in a program to assist pregnant women in accessing maternal care regardless of the time and place. The first step was to put together a list of all expectant women in the villages, complete with location and contacts. The second, finding a safe, reliable mode of transport for them.
Matungu tuko na ambulance moja. Na watu wenye wako na mimba ni wengi. Tuko na location 7 in Matungu sub-county. So wewe wakati yenye unaangalia tu ambulance labda imeenda Halaga na mtu wangu ameanza kuumwa. So tuko na list ya bodaboda. Na tuko nayo per village. Utaangalia, utamuuliza huko kwa village gani, anakuambia wewe unapigia bodaboda huyo. Unamwambia kuje kuchukua nini? Barua kwako. Akiwa karibu na assistant chief, aende kwa assistant chief achukue barua.
Nehemiah Milo is among the 50 bodaboda riders listed by the area chief to transport the women.
Tulihakikishiwa kuwa tutakuwa kwa usalama kwa ajili alituambia tutapatiwa barua ya kututembesha usiku. Tukifika hospitali pia wale wanatupatia barua ambao tunakuhakikisha kuwa tulikuwa na mama mjamzito.
In another part of the village is Nancy Kasaya, who is expecting a child soon. Nancy has registered with Chief Roslida and is benefiting from the program. Today she's heading to her monthly antenatal checkup at the Indangalasia dispensary.
Nilifanya nikajisajili hii maneno ya corona. sababu nikianza usiku siwezi toka peke yangu niende kwa barabara.
Usiku saa hivi ile kuna lockdown, sasa unajua huwezi toka nje ovyo ovyo. Sasa ukikuwa na hao wanaweza kusaidia.
But that is just the logistical side of things. Ensuring the women access pre- and postnatal care from a qualified practitioner while at home in isolation is equally important. And that is where Peter Nyongesa, a community health volunteer, comes in.
Mimi kama mwanaafya, jukumu langu kwa mama mjamzito ni kuangalia kadi yake, nione huwa anaenda kliniki kuona anapata chanjo ambazo zinastahili katika hali yake ya kuwa mjamzito. Mpaka nihakikisha ameanza kwa muda ambao unastahili, tena amalize katika muda ambao unastahili.
With most people staying at home with very little to do, family planning sensitization is also key at this time, Nyongesa says.
Saizi wanaume wote wako pamoja na mabibi zao kwa nyumba, na kulingana na hali vile iko, ni lazima tutafute mpangilio ya kuwazuia kupata mimba. Na sisi kama wanaafya tumejukumika kutafuta pills kutoka kwa dispensary zetu ama facilities zetu pamoja na condoms ili tuwapatie wamama na wababa katika muda huu wa curfew.
While the Kakamega model seems to be going on with a considerable amount of success, the Council of Governors now says that there is a need to separate specific entities that will deal with COVID-19 to ensure that other essential services go on in health facilities for Kenyans to access them.
So the names are already with the chiefs and assistant chiefs. And if these ladies have a problem, they are free, they call the chief immediately. And the chief is able to get in touch with the border because we have also mapped them.
As such, community health volunteers like Nyongesa are being encouraged to get down to work and preserve the health of the nation.
People now are shy to going to seek health care.
I've written a letter to the CS in charge of security, internal security, Dr. Fred Matiang'i, to look into this issue.
For these volunteers of Matungu, preserving young life at a time when human life is itself threatened is a call to save mankind, one they will nobly carry out.
Tumeambiwa tusaidie jamii. So kusaidia jamii ni kujitolea. Sio lazima ulipo zile pesa ambazo itakuwa nyingi sana kwa ajili yule mama pengine hana chochote. Na imefika wakati wa dharura. Sasa ukimwacha pale ni vibaya, wewe ni kumpeleka. Bora tu mafuta pia uwe utaweka kwa pikipiki.
Na hata mimi ningependa kuambia wajaribu kusimamisha wakina mama ama wajawazito kuzalia kwa midwife.
Wasipojiunga na mradi huu huenda ikasababisha hata kifo, kwa sababu itafika wakati ambapo huyu mama anataka kujifungua na hana vile atafika hospitalini, itabidi avumilie nyumbani.
The focus has been on COVID. But yesterday I had a meeting with doctors that this issue of COVID is just part of what they are supposed to do.
The Kakamega County government is now considering spreading this program to other parts of that county until such a time when life will return to normal and the women can move around freely. Leila Mohammed, NTV.
What a good move, because expectant women and new mothers need all the support that they can get during this trying and testing time. Well, talking about testing, the Kenya Medical Research Institute has embarked on the process of developing a vaccine for the coronavirus, with a possible candidate vaccine prototype expected in October. Well, while it is likely to take months, according to researchers, to develop a fully tested and safe vaccine, countries around the world are racing against time to develop their own as the global death toll continues to spike. However, the country is still grappling with strained funding on research and development, despite boasting of world-class researchers and scientists. Zainab Ismail reports.
With coronavirus cases around the world now at over 3 million,
Scientists have been burning the midnight oil in search of a vaccine. The unprecedented situation has demanded immense financing and bolder approaches to testing and licensing. Kenyan scientists and researchers are part of that global race. But the development of a vaccine is a task that few countries can manage on their own.
Scientific independence for the region will require lots of what we call borders. Not one country is going to have all the capacity and the resources to do it, but we have the capacity in terms of the human resource and the network that we already work with that would allow us that if we get a concept that we want to develop, we can work with the other partners to get it developed and done within
This is a
Kenya.
process that experts say could take at least 7 years.
People are trying to come up with new ways and efficient systems of possibly reducing the cost of developing a vaccine or a drug. And this has been fairly quite huge in the range of almost $500 million to $1 billion to possibly get a new product into the market. And this is an investment that the companies that do this have to invest and possibly hope to recoup it when they start selling a product.
In a 2017 report titled Towards Knowledge Societies, UNESCO acknowledged how the lack of funding among local researchers greatly affects research initiatives.
There has been lots of debate that we need to increase our kitty in research. I can say the government of Kenya has made great strides, and now we have a research funding agency in the country called the National Research Fund, which is a step in the right direction. And we just need to make sure that this is bolstered and more resources are available to this funding agency to support the development in terms of talent and in terms of infrastructure, and then calls upon the scientists to build the next generation.
In the 2019-2020 financial year, the government allocated 171.6 million shillings for medical research, a substantially low amount in the face of the national commitment to the development of science and technology.
Our institutions, like I said, specifically KEMRI, Kenya Primate Research, and others, are involved in the global effort to try and find a vaccine.
Research which takes place in the country is predominantly funded by sponsors, with academics and scientists partnering in the process with their regional and international counterparts. Zainab Ismail, NTV.
And 9 out of every 10 jobs created in Kenya in 2019 were in the informal sector, an indication of the challenges Kenyans continue to face in finding employment which guarantees them social safety nets. This is particularly worrying given the pervasive job losses which are presently sweeping through the labour market as the economy takes a hit from the COVID-19 pandemic. Our business editor Julian Amboko has more on that.
The surge in the economy in 2019 manifested in the labour market, with a slowdown in the number of jobs created within the formal economy compared to the growth registered in 2018. Additionally, the lion's share of jobs created in the economy were in the informal segment, creating minimal protections for Kenyans by way of social safety net.
Total new jobs generated in the economy were 843,000 in 2019. Employment in the modern sector recorded a growth of 2.4% in 2019 compared to 2.8% in 2018. In the year under review, a total of 61.8 thousand jobs were created in the modern sector.
And with a global pandemic of this magnitude hitting the economy hard, the 2020 numbers could be much lower as companies relieve employees of duty due to shrinking revenues.
Most of the economic activities have so far been slowed down by restrictions resulting from containment and cessation of sections of the population, the nationwide curfew, and stoppage of international passenger travel.
Kenya's economy missed the growth target set by the government in 2019, whereas the National Treasury had projected growth at 6% for the period. The economy only managed 5.4% as revealed by the 2020 Economic Survey, which was launched this morning. A sectoral breakdown of the growth indicates that the economy's momentum took a significant hit from the agriculture, manufacturing, building and construction industries, which witnessed a general slowdown in the 12 months under review.
The agriculture, forestry and fishing sector grew by 3.6% in 2019 compared to 6.0% in 2018. In the manufacturing sector, I hasten to add that the sector slowed down to 3.2% in 2019 compared to a growth of 4.3% in 2018.
With the economy now taking a hit from the coronavirus pandemic, the National Treasury is anticipating as low as just half of the growth registered in 2019 to be reported in 2020. A best-case scenario of growth at 2.5% has been tabled, while the worst-case scenario of 1.8% is also on the table. This spells further doom for the labour industry. Julian's Amboko, NTV.
All right, well, we can, of course, all agree that this global pandemic has brought with it a new world order, and nowhere is this new order stamping its authority more than the service industry, the workplace and work itself. So on team coverage this Wednesday, that's tomorrow, we explore how the global crisis has changed the face of work as we know it and what this paradigm shift portends.
Government offices, businesses are encouraged to allow employees to work from home.
Working from home is actually a feature companies need to look into.
When we load important services onto technology platforms, if we are not very careful, you will end up excavating the inequalities.
There's a great opportunity for Kenya to localize a lot of the goods.
Necessity is the mother of invention. You've come up with this invention at the right time.
Tumesimamishwa kazi.
The business definitely it's a huge shift.
It will call for sacrifice, including pay cuts.
We do not want Kenyans to lose jobs unnecessarily. We have to find some money to be able to manage payrolls.
The state is the guarantor of business in any country.
The future of work, something that affects us or will affect us all in one way or another. That's team coverage Wednesday tomorrow night at 9 p.m. Do be sure to tune in. At this point, we take a break. More when we return.
Disinfect and protect your home with Jik. Jik kills 99.9% of illness-causing germs. Disinfect floors, kitchen and bathroom surfaces, and wash white clothes, towels, and dishcloths with Jik bleach. Just Jik it.
Kira! Kira? Where are you? Malaria!
That's why you need the superior protection of Mortein 360-degree reach. Only this has 11 vents which enable it to reach the farthest corners. Mortein, total indoor protection.
Nyaje wa Kenya, hii ni public service announcement kuhusu coronavirus.
The Ministry of Health advises all returnees from abroad to self-quarantine for at least 14 days, whether they feel well or unwell.
Wash your hands regularly following the 8 steps of hand washing. Wet hands with warm water. Apply a small amount of soap. Rub palms together. Rub fingers and thumbs and the bits in between. Rub nails on palms. Rub the back of each hand. Rinse with clean running water and dry thoroughly with a clean dry towel.
Furthermore, it is advisable to cover your mouth and nose adequately when sneezing or coughing and immediately dispose of the tissue in a dustbin. Please do not use handkerchiefs if you can avoid it. If disposable tissue is unavailable, cough into your elbow. Try and avoid close contact with anyone showing signs of respiratory illness, such as coughing or sneezing.
Before you share any coronavirus information on social media, please verify it with Ministry of Health to avoid panic and alarm among your fellow Kenyans.
The risk of illness-causing germs is increasing. It is believed that the coronavirus can remain on surfaces in your home for up to 9 days. Touching infected surfaces is one of the ways in which germs spread. Regularly disinfect your floors, countertops, and kitchen surfaces with bleach, and use an effective toilet cleaner inside and outside your toilet bowl.
This message is brought to you by Medifacts, JIG and Hapik.
Welcome home to Amani Ridge, the place of peace. Your own urban sanctuary. A lifestyle waiting for you just 20 kilometers from the CBD. A place to unwind and get your health and fitness goals attained. A secure place for your family. A place for your children to have fun. A place to enjoy a sundowner. Success just doesn't happen. You have to make it happen. Make the impossible possible. Invest in Amani Ridge, the place of peace. Luxury you can afford. Call us today on 0790 300 300 or visit www.optivan.co.ke.
Dettol's main objective is to help children protect themselves from diseases. Do you know how we get illnesses like diarrhea, cough, and cold? No! They are spread through germs on your hands. Your hands collect germs that causes diseases. You pick up germs from any surface, like when you don't wash your hands after going to the toilet, while playing. And then you can get sick because of germs. That's why you need to fight germs to stay healthy by washing your hands regularly with Dettol soap that gives the best germ protection ever against many illness-causing germs.
Wash, wash, wash your hands. What you have to do is bath, bath, bath yourself. Dettol soap every day. Wash, wash, wash your hands.
Thanks for staying with us. Hardly did any of us imagine that someday wearing a mask and maintaining high levels of hygiene as a personal safety measure would become part of our daily routine. Well, in this age of the coronavirus, in which change is the only constant, people are seemingly adopting the wave. Well, on this World Day for Safety and Health at the Workplace, our Nakuru regional reporter Bridget Ngana looks at how safety has become a personal rather than collective responsibility.
As the world silently marked World Day for Safety and Health at Work, Tabitha Akiso was also hard at work at her shop, stitch by stitch, locking in place what has now become her fastest selling product, a face mask. Unlike the ones used by health workers, this cloth mask made from recycled fabric are reusable and user-friendly, Tabitha says.
Vile kulitoka mwito ya kwamba kila mtu avae mask, nilikuwa na hiyo msukumo ya kwamba naweza pata kipato kidogo kwa sababu mapato ilikuwa imerudi chini sana sana sana. Kwanza wakati huu vile economy imekuwa ya kuyumba, sikukuwa na kazi kabisa.
It is nearly 2 months since the arrival of COVID-19 in the country, and with the recommendations on safety, tailors like Tabitha have been churning out personal protective equipment for the general public. This is in full knowledge that the idea of safety has shifted from a collective to a more personalized one.
Safety normally receives a lot of attention during disasters. And there's never been proactive safety. We are more of a reactive nation. But I think that has changed. You can see the personal efforts that each and everyone is putting into place. I mean, if you go to a supermarket like Naivas, Tuskys, you'll see if you don't have proper PPE, if you don't have the mask, they don't allow you in. If you don't wash your hands. So there has been growth of personal safety.
Occupational health, safety and disaster management has largely been an institutional responsibility. But all that is changing due to the coronavirus, hence many Kenyans finding it difficult to adjust.
So we'll see a lot of innovations. There'll be less importations of safety equipments and PPEs as well, which is good for our nation. There'll also, this safety for once will create jobs. What I mean is physical jobs in terms of development of all these equipments. And I think it has come to show that we're actually receptive people. And other than dealing with the knee-jerk reactions all the time, you can actually develop a proactive safety mechanisms in the long run.
The future is indeed uncertain. What is clear, though, is the pace with which people are acknowledging that safety, just like charity, begins at home. Bridget Ngana, NTV, Nakuru.
Well, Bridget's said it all. It begins at home with you. So do be sure that you are keeping safe. And in essence, you'll keep all those around you safe as much as you can anyway. Now, whether you're a university student or a pupil in high school, you might now be attending class online as institutions remain closed due to the coronavirus pandemic. Well, while digital classes are a great way to ensure that learning goes on, with it comes certain dangers. Cybercrime has recently exposed young children to obscene images during online classes. But class is now in session and we have to learn a few lessons on how to maneuver with care around the internet. Ngina Kirori with the details.
What is 9 kilograms?
Mwalimu Plus is an online platform for children between 6 to 15 years to practice and improve their math skills. It has come in handy as an intervention at this time.
Subtract 188 kilograms.
It's not here to replace the teacher. The teacher plays a very important role, but during such situations and when learners are home from school, it is quite important and it helps the learners to continue learning.
For parents such as Boniface Dirangu, the application is a huge relief in ensuring that children continue with learning.
This is artificial intelligence. It also can return a student to where they need to learn something, and I think in that way it's really good. With mathematics, the challenge is that Mwalimu Plus app is only for mathematics. I'm sure they're working at developing the other subjects.
On an afternoon like this classroom would typically have an English or maths lesson in session, but the dried up chalk and the empty desks are now a symbol of the new normal as these students have migrated to digital platforms. But what danger lurks in these digital platforms?
The revolutionary wave of online learning brings with it concerns of safety. A Zoom lesson in one of the country's top international schools was hacked and inappropriate images displayed to students during a Zoom call.
Subtract 188 kilograms.
The same has happened across the world. Cybersecurity expert Bright Gameli outlines guidelines that can reduce the risk of a security breach. Number 1, updating your application and not making sessions public. In Zoom, for example, you have the option of making the meeting private. Number 2, use the waiting room feature and control the admittance of attendees. Number 3, turn off your annotation. Number 4, provide the link directly to attendees only and switch off unnecessary features. And lastly, remove participants that are no longer part of the group. Gena Kirori, NTV.
Now, the national government today received a shot in the arm in its fight against the coronavirus after the Ethics and Anti-Corruption Commission donated towards the COVID-19 fund. The funds were donated by the EACC Chief Executive Officer Twale Mbarak, who said that the 1.2 million shillings that the agency gave were part of the proceeds it had recovered from individuals and institutions implicated in graft. Mbarak says the EACC is committed in helping the government fight the virus that has wreaked havoc not only in Kenya but globally, affecting millions and disrupting economies. Diamond Trust Bank Chief Executive Officer Naseem Devji, on the other hand, asked other institutions to commit towards the fight, which she says will only be won through a collective effort by all. DTB contributed 51.2 million shillings to the COVID fund.
An amount of 100 million shillings to support the COVID-related issues. What has been agreed is that 50 million shillings will be handed over today to the chairperson of the COVID fund to support the vulnerable families. And the other 50 million, Diamond Trust Bank will work with various partners to support the COVID fund.
We know there's a lot of money that is being dished out now to the counties. We know the procurement process will be more of direct procurement and single sourcing as a result of urgency. But as EACC, we would like to pass a message to county bosses, the governors, the executive in the counties, that we are monitoring on how this money is being spent, and we are focusing on the prioritization of needs We are focusing on the procurement processes. We are focusing on issues to deal with conflict of interest. And we are telling them that they must account for all the money that they have been given as a result of the campaign against this pandemic.
We've set ourselves properly like a corporate, so we are working with the big four partnerships, PwC, who are going to be our bookkeeper, Ernst & Young, who are going to manage our programs, and KPMG, who are going to do M&E for us, and Deloitte is going to be our audit partner. So far, we've received about 1.3 billion shillings, both in kind and in cash. Cash is just over $1 billion, and the rest is in kind.
Now, once it's suspected that you have been in contact with an individual who has COVID-19, the government swiftly sends help your way in hazmat suits and masks. Well, it is until it is time to leave the quarantine centre or hospital, then you realise you're on your own. In your Daily Nation tomorrow, read about the growing number of Kenyans who've been left holding hefty bills they did not commit to pay and why they feel let down by the government. Don't miss your copy. We're now taking a breather on NTV tonight. I'll be back shortly with the day's business news. Stay with us.
Melissa? Mom, it's Dad's birthday today. I'm giving him a party just like he gives me.
Nothing makes a mother more proud than seeing her child growing up. But I know that as she learns to care for others, she'll face even more germs and the risk of illnesses.
That's why you need strong Dettol protection. Just 1 cup of Dettol protects your home and family from up to 100 illness-causing germs.
Growing up needs Dettol protection.
Toto, where's Mommy? Today's a toilet day. What? Oh.
Selena!
Toilet day?
Tomorrow we're hosting a party and it's a matter of my reputation.
It's a toilet, not a white shirt. Even if you spend your entire day cleaning with bleach and detergent, it still won't be party ready.
Impossible.
Challenge. Harpic 10X. Even if you use bleach and detergent 10 times, they won't give you the same sparkling clean toilet that Harpic 10X will give you.
Wow!
Harpic 10X. Harpic, Kenya's #1 toilet cleaner.
Sona moja imetengenezwa kwa njia spesheli ili kupambana na maumivu kwa haraka. Sona moja ina aspirin kama kiungo. Sona moja, kitulizo kamili. Maumivu yakizidi, pata ushauri wa daktari.
Heaviness and a burning inside, it could be heartburn.
Indigestion and heartburn? Eno gets to work in 6 seconds and works on the 6 symptoms of heartburn so you can keep living life non-stop. Eno, fight heartburn and indigestion fast.
The risk of illness-causing germs is increasing. It is believed that the coronavirus can remain on surfaces in your home for up to 9 days. Touching infected surfaces is one of the ways in which germs spread. Regularly disinfect your floors, countertops, and kitchen surfaces with bleach, and use an effective toilet cleaner inside and outside your toilet bowl. This message is brought to you by Medifacts, JIG, and Harpic.
NTV Business News in association with KCB Internet Banking.
Right, let's get a sense of what's happening in the world of business. The National Treasury says Kenya will secure a standby facility from the International Monetary Fund as early as mid-May 2020. Now, this will be used in cushioning the economy from the shocks being experienced owing to the spread of COVID-19. Treasury CS Ukur Yatani has also revealed that the finance bill is set to be tabled before the National Assembly on Wednesday this week, just 4 days after President Uhuru Kenyatta signed into law a comprehensive tax bill.
Given the shock, we as members of IMF and World Bank were entitled to some relief through the special drawing right. And as a result of this, we are likely to unlock a standby facility to the extent of 75 billion Kenyan shilling. We are going to also send to the National Assembly the finance bill now for this year that's going to address all tax measures into the future.
The Treasury CS was speaking during the launch of the National Economic Survey of 2020. And to find out more about what the newly launched report has to say about Kenya's economy, the labour market, public revenue and what the COVID-19 shock means for the economic outlook for 2020, grab your copy of the Business Daily tomorrow. The Central Bank of Kenya's Monetary Policy Committee will be meeting on Wednesday for the third time in 2020. In its last meeting in March, the central bank lowered both its policy rate and the cash reserve ratio in a bid to boost lending to the private sector amidst the COVID-19 shock. Well, what can Kenyans expect from tomorrow's meeting? Julian Zamboko explores.
Ideally, the Central Bank of Kenya's Monetary Policy Committee meets once every 2 months. In light of the present emergency, however, the committee is set to have its third meeting of the year just 1 month after it had its last meeting. Analysts argue that the rising unemployment occasioned by job losses and slowdown of the economy's growth momentum will likely be the key issues topping the Monetary Policy Committee's agenda as it sits on Wednesday.
We are seeing that there are some risks in the economy that are skewed to the downside. One of them is on the economic growth. We are seeing that there is an output gap which we expect in the economy, whereby the actual growth will not perform as per the potential growth that had been priced in by the policymakers.
We expect the Central Bank of Kenya to maintain its policy rate at 7.25%. This would provide room for monetary policy transmission of previous rate cuts and also for the fiscal stimulus measures recently announced by the government to take effect.
Analysts further argue that with relatively low inflation at just 6% in March 2020, the central bank still has enough room for easing monetary policy.
We still expect an accommodative monetary policy stance from the Central Bank of Kenya in light of the evolving coronavirus pandemic. And this would be supported by a moderate inflation profile, given the lower international oil prices and muted demand pressures.
The single mandate of the CBK is on the price stability, which is on the inflation. We expect co-inflation because of the lack of demand pressure in the economy. We expect it to remain subdued, around 1% from the 2.2% that was last month.
Wednesday's meeting will be coming at a time when the shilling has been under immense pressure, breaching the 107 units to the US dollar this week. Many will be keen to see what the central bank has to say about the trend in the foreign exchange market. Julian Amboko, NTV.
Now, the cost of personal protective equipment could go down in the days ahead. The Kenya Revenue Authority now says that it has finalized updating the Simba system to reflect changes removing value-added tax on personal protective equipment. The completion now allows traders to effect the scrapping of VAT on personal protective equipment, something which had delayed despite the President signing the Tax Laws Amendment Bill into law late last week. KRA says it had to await the publishing of the tax laws, that's the Amendment Act 2020, by the government printer as required by law before effecting the new changes. While the banking sector continues to take a hit from the COVID-19 pandemic, with the latest development being the planned closure of selected branches by Standard Chartered Bank. The bank has indicated to its clients that effective May 1st, 2020, it will close 8 branches for a period of 3 months. Amongst the branches affected will be Koinange, Harambe Avenue, T-Mall, Two Rivers and Upper Hill. Standard Chartered Bank's share closed to Tuesday's trade at 187 shillings and 75 cents, shedding 3% compared to Monday's close. And that's your business news. Stay with us, another short break.
NTV Business News in association with KCB Internet Banking.
We can always talk about your account online whenever you like.
Register at your nearest branch for KCB Internet Banking today.
The risk of illness-causing germs is increasing. It is believed that the coronavirus can remain on surfaces in your home for up to 9 days. Touching infected surfaces is one of the ways in which germs spread. Regularly disinfect your floors, countertops, and kitchen surfaces with bleach, and use an effective toilet cleaner inside and outside your toilet bowl. This message is brought to you by Medifacts, JIC, and Hapik.
Nyaje wa Kenya. Hii ni public service announcement kuhusu coronavirus.
The Ministry of Health advises all returnees from abroad to self-quarantine for at least 14 days, whether they feel well or unwell.
Wash your hands regularly following the 8 steps of hand washing. Wet hands with warm water. Apply a small amount of soap. Rub palms together. Rub fingers and thumbs and the beads in between. Rub nails on palms, rub the back of each hand, rinse with clean running water, and dry thoroughly with a clean dry towel.
Furthermore, it is advisable to cover your mouth and nose adequately when sneezing or coughing and immediately dispose of the tissue in a dustbin. Please do not use handkerchiefs if you can avoid it. If disposable tissue is unavailable, cough into your elbow. Try and avoid close contact with anyone showing signs of respiratory illness, such as coughing or sneezing.
Before you share any coronavirus information on social media, please verify it with Ministry of Health to avoid panic and alarm among your fellow Kenyans.
I help women find independence by training them in fish farming. It's tough on my back, joints, and can cause headaches. Panadol Extra relieves multiple types of pain. Panadol Extra, now with new Optizorb technology, to fight multiple tough pains with 3 times more pain-relieving medicine in the first 30 minutes when you need it most. Seeing them support themselves makes any pain worth it. If symptoms persist, seek medical advice.
Maritime Tips, brought to you by Kenya Maritime Authority. Precautions for vessel and boat owners, operators, coxswains and passengers. Personal hygiene. Practice frequent hand hygiene, coughing and sneezing etiquette. Clean and disinfect frequently touched objects and surfaces on board the boats and vessels such as steering wheel, safety or guardrails and seats. Crew members, coxswains and passengers to regularly disinfect life jackets. Practice frequent hand washing with soap. Wear a mask on board a boat or vessel. Boat owners and operators to comply with government directives on movement restrictions within counties. Kenya Maritime Authority for safe and efficient water transport.
Have you shared your bongo points with someone who needs them? Remember to help a friend or anyone in need to buy food using your bongo points. Stay at home, but still stay together with your loved ones and friends using bongo points. Share your story or video of how you've helped a fellow Kenyan to our FB page NTV Kenya, Twitter page at NTV Kenya, Instagram at NTV Kenya, SMS 20686 or our WhatsApp number 0745 925 002.
Welcome back. Now, the curfew and movement restrictions imposed to curb the spread of the coronavirus is presenting a challenge to families with missing persons or whose kin go missing during the period. Such is the trouble of the family of Robert Odhiambo, who has been missing for a week now. The 12-year-old, nicknamed Yang, went missing on Tuesday, the 21st of April at 5 p.m. in Kasarani Estate. Now, his mother, Linda Luande, says that the containment measures have made it more difficult to search for him. Anyone with information on Robert's whereabouts should contact the family on the following numbers: 0705 521 660 or 0792 405 427, or the NTV news desk there, 0719 038 808. Any leads can also be reported to the Kimbo Police Station in Gidurai, Kasarani, Mwiki or Sunton police stations, or just any station closest to you. Robert was dressed in a red jumper, a sky blue t-shirt, blue faded khaki trousers and blue slippers. You, as I said, could also call the NTV news desk on the number on your screen, or those two numbers, 0705 521 660, 0792 405 427. Right, let's bring you a little bit of international news. In Nigeria's economic capital, Lagos, woke up to the new measures put in place by the government to battle the spread of the coronavirus, including a ban on non-essential travel between regions and the compulsory wearing of face masks. Now, Nigeria will start easing a coronavirus lockdown covering its largest city, Lagos, and capital, Abuja, from May the 4th. More than 25 million residents in Abuja, Lagos and neighbouring Ogun State have been under federal lockdown since March the 30th, and other states have introduced their own restrictions. Nigeria, with a population of 200 million, has reported 1,273 confirmed infections, including 40 deaths. It's the sports news coming up in just a moment with Brian Otwell. Stay with us.
Breastfeeding ruins the shape of your breasts. This myth is false. Feeding your baby at night makes breastfeeding easier. Yes, this is true. Small breasts can't produce enough milk. This myth is false.
Kiss Kids diapers. Kiss Kids, no rashes. Kiss Kids, no rashes. Bye-bye rashes. Buy diapers. Choose Kiss Kids.
When you're facing stubborn stains, you're always in a fierce fight. Clean Soft kicks out stains kimateki.
Nyaje wa Kenya, hii ni public service announcement kuhusu coronavirus.
The Ministry of Health advises all returnees from abroad to self-quarantine for at least 14 days, whether they feel well or unwell.
Wash your hands regularly following the 8 steps of hand washing. Wet hands with warm water. Apply a small amount of soap. Rub palms together. Rub fingers and thumbs and the bits in between. Rub nails on palms. Rub the back of each hand. Rinse with clean running water and dry thoroughly with a clean dry towel.
Furthermore, it is advisable to cover your mouth and nose adequately when sneezing or coughing and immediately dispose of the tissue in a dustbin. Please do not use handkerchiefs if you can avoid it. If disposable tissue is unavailable, cough into your elbow. Try and avoid close contact with anyone showing signs of respiratory illness, such as coughing or sneezing.
Before you share any coronavirus information on social media, please verify it with Ministry of Health to avoid panic and alarm among your fellow Kenyans.
Have you shared your bongo points with someone who needs them? Remember to help a friend or anyone in need to buy food using your bongo points. Stay at home, but still stay together with your loved ones and friends using bongo points. Share your story or video of how you've helped a fellow Kenyan to our FB page NTV Kenya, Twitter page at NTV Kenya, Instagram at NTV Kenya, SMS 20686 or our WhatsApp number 0745 925 002.
What do you see on the horizon? They say how you start your decade will determine how the rest of it will be. Imagine a decade full of opportunities, investment being one of them. Do you want a place to feed your mind, body and soul? A place to unwind every day, where you can get your health and fitness goals attained? A secure place for your family? A center for quality academic goals for your kids? Or perhaps a place to connect with your friends? Well, you can get all this and more at Amani Ridge, the place of peace, just 20 kilometers from the CBD. Call us today on 0790 300 300 or visit www.optivan.co.ke.
Let's have a look at the day's sports news. Welcome, my name is Brian Otwal. Athletics Kenya has condemned a Norwegian journalist for posting images that were allegedly taken in E10 and termed the move as witch hunt, meant to put the image of Kenya in bad light and reverse the gains made in the fight against doping. In a statement, AK said it was concerned about the images of syringes circulated by the journalist and accused him of reporting unjustifiable information. The image was posted on 23rd April in the Athletics World News with an image of syringes dumped that read, "E10 Kenya today, close the track." This we have seen many times, just the way it is. The Athletics Kenya added that the pictures in the circulation needed a proof of the actual location in E10. AK, however, welcomed the journalist to reveal the culprit and the doping place for facilitation of investigation, at the same time warning athletes to keep the fight against doping. And the postponed Tokyo 2020 Olympics to 2021 will have to be cancelled if the coronavirus pandemic isn't brought under control by next year, the organizing committee's president said on Tuesday. The pandemic has already forced a year-long delay of the games, which are now scheduled to open on July 23rd, 2021. But Tokyo 2020 President Yoshiro Mori said no further postponement was possible. In an interview with Japan's Nikkei Sports Daily, Mori was categorical when asked if the Olympics could be delayed until 2022 if the pandemic remains a threat next year, replying no. Mori noted that the games had been cancelled previously only during wartime and compared the battle against coronavirus to fighting an invisible enemy. Organizers and Japanese officials have said the delayed Olympics will be a chance to showcase the world's triumph over the coronavirus, but questions have arisen about whether even a year's postponement is sufficient. And European leagues have until 25th of May to tell UEFA whether they want to complete or cancel their seasons. Football is suspended in most European countries because of the coronavirus pandemic, and the Premier League has this week stepped up its plans to resume the season in what has been labelled Project Restart. Tottenham became the latest Premier League club to open their doors to players, joining Arsenal, Brighton and West Ham for individual work with plans to finish the English top flight season. Top flight clubs will meet on Friday to discuss options for the restart. Meanwhile, the French Ligue 1 and Ligue 2 seasons will not resume after France banned all sporting events, including behind closed doors, until September. French football's governing body had hoped to resume the season on 17th of June and finish the campaign on the 25th of July. And a new Michael Jordan television documentary has become a smash hit for NBA fans whose hope of watching the playoffs these days was scuttled by the coronavirus pandemic. The Last Dance details the career of the NBA legend who led the Chicago Bulls to 6 titles in the 1990s, with editions 3 and 4 of the 10-part saga telecast on Sunday. It was the top ESPN telecast in the advertisers' prized 18 to 34 demographic since the shutdown of sport due to the coronavirus pandemic. In all, 6.1 million people watched the opening episodes in the United States, making the documentary Twitter's top trending topic and ESPN's most watched original program since the network began producing such shows 16 years ago. The project was set to be broadcast in June when the NBA finals were scheduled, but when sports programs were wiped out due to the global virus pandemic, ESPN advanced the release date. Meanwhile, the NBA informed clubs Monday that it plans to allow individual workouts by players at the team facilities no sooner than May 8th in areas where allowed by government regulations. The league shut down its 2019-2020 season on March 12th after Utah's Rudy Gobert tested positive for the coronavirus, and this marks the first small step towards resuming the campaign, although no timetable for that has been announced. The move comes as several state and local governments have started easing stay-at-home orders on non-essential business activity. Georgia and Oklahoma City were among the states that with NBA teams to relax their quarantine regulations, opening the door to possible workouts at club gyms and courts, with most states set to follow suit in the coming days. Another concern for the league is the potential fitness advantage some teams could gain over others.
An absolutely iconic shot from Damian Lillard, who drops it.
On that note, we end our sports. We play again tomorrow. Have a lovely night. My name is Brian Otwal. Back to you, Smriti.
Brian, thanks very much for the sports news. Thank you to you for watching, and thanks to our sign language interpreters tonight, I should say. We had Flora Atieno as well as our other sign language interpreter, David Agondoa. Now do stay tuned. Tomorrow, remember, it is Team Coverage Wednesday. We are looking at the future of work. Mark Masai and team will be back as we take a breather. Thanks very much for watching. Remember, stay safe. Good night.
Allahu Akbar, Allahu Akbar.
During this period and always, bank different by avoiding interest in all your transactions. If not now, when? Ensure that all your transactions are free from elements of uncertainty and gambling by only investing your money differently. Bank on strong partnerships where generated profits and risks are shared by both parties. Bank different with Gulf African Bank. Call us on 0711 075 000 or SMS join to 21981. May God protect us. Ramadan Mubarak.
This is NTV.
I help women find independence by training them in fish farming. It's tough on my back, joints, and can cause headaches. Panadol Extra relieves multiple types of pain. If symptoms persist, seek medical advice.
Good morning, Janet.
Wow! And you are?
I'm Casey. Now help you with anything to do with your KCB bank account. Pay bills, transfers, statements.
You're hired.
I'm your internet banking security ninja. I'm your 24/7 personal assistant.
Super.
So, we can always talk about your account, online, whenever you like. Need a ride?
Let's go.
Alrighty, with you anywhere, anytime.
Register at your nearest branch for KCB Internet Banking today.
When you're facing stubborn stains, you're always in a fierce fight. Clean Soft kicks out stains. Kimateki.
I help women find independence by training them in fish farming. It's tough on my back, joints, and can cause headaches. Panadol Extra relieves multiple types of pain. Panadol Extra, now with new Optizorb technology, to fight multiple tough pains with 3 times more pain-relieving medicine in the first 30 minutes when you need it most. Seeing them support themselves makes any pain worth it.
If symptoms persist, seek medical advice.
Breastfeeding ruins the shape of your breasts. This myth is false. Feeding your baby at night makes breastfeeding easier. Yes, this is true. Small breasts can't produce enough milk. This myth is false.
Kiss Kids diapers. Kiss Kids, no rashes. Kiss Kids, no rashes. Bye-bye rashes. Buy diapers. Choose Kiss Kids.
Government offices, businesses are encouraged to allow employees to work from home.
Working from home is actually a feature companies need to look into.
When we load important services onto technology platforms, if we are not very careful, you will end up excavating the inequalities.
There's a great opportunity for Kenya to localize a lot of the goods.
Necessity is the mother of